CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community.
That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News. And now, here's Kevin Dietz.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning on this final day of June. Where did June go? Wow, it is moving quick. The summer is. Welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show. What a gorgeous day we had yesterday, and we have more of it coming today. If you like hot and sunny, we have it coming for you today. It's a great day to go to the lake, as long as you wear your masks, right, guys?
Oh, Kevin, good morning.
Some of our audience is tired of hearing about wearing masks. They don't want to be lectured. If you don't want to wear your mask, don't wear your mask. Just don't go near other people and infect them, or don't catch the virus. Don't give anyone the virus. To stay maybe 50 feet away and don't wear a mask. Fine by us. Executive producer Ann Thomas is here. Ann, how are you about these hot days? We're looking at 88 today and sunny. I thought yesterday was gorgeous. Some people were complaining it was a little too hot.
I love it, Kevin. I really like this time of year. This is my time of year. It's fabulous.
Yeah, I think it's just perfect. I'm looking forward to today as well. Dayna Clark, welcome.
Yeah, I agree. I love it hot, hot, hot. The hotter, the better. And keep it coming.
All right. Dick, you with us, or you want the winter to come back? Dick, can you hear us?
Oh, no. I'm okay with it. I was out all day yesterday fixing a car right in the 90-degree heat, and I was okay with it.
Nice. And how are you doing today, Dick? What's your percentage?
Oh, I couldn't be better. 100%.
100% during a pandemic is impressive.
Right.
It is very strong. Very strong numbers coming in from Dick Hafner.
I think so too.
That's great. So a lot of things going on around Metro Detroit, but the big one that caught my eye was the Woodward Dream Cruise being canceled finally. And I just wonder what you guys think of that. I mean, obviously, no surprise to anybody. You can't have millions of people, packed in on Woodward looking at old cars. But, if you live anywhere near Woodward or drive Woodward, you can already see the cars are out there. And I just wonder what this is going to look like in reality. How do you stop cars from coming? How do you stop people from coming in such a big open area? Well,
that's a great question, because people are still going to do that on that weekend. It's just too big of a deal. So how will they police that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you've been there, you've seen
more organic.
Yeah, people
more organic.
I guess maybe the idea is if you cancel
it'll be natural. It'll be done the natural way without an official event. It's still the people's cruise, as I called it. That's how this whole thing started, and now it'll go back to its roots, at least for a year.
Good point.
That would actually be very nice. If you've been there in recent years, you just know how crowded it gets. I suppose by canceling it, maybe they'll stop people from coming across the country or cars from coming from real far away. Maybe it'll become a much more local event. But you talk about social distancing. You couldn't even get to any of the businesses on Woodward for a long time. The businesses were complaining they didn't like the Dream Cruise because it was so crowded. Some would even shut down, but on the other hand, you'd bring all these people into the area spending money.
What about all the events associated with it? Will they still do something, or are those events going to shut down too?
They're shutting down as well. Most of them have already announced that they're going to shut down as well.
Our listeners say you can't stop the Dream Cruise.
There's a lot of charity money involved.
Actually, this might be the perfect year for me to go to the Dream Cruise. There won't be all those crowds. I go look at the nice cars that are parked around. This might be the year for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get into it some more as the day continues on the Paul W. Smith Show. We'll be right back with more. Let's check in on traffic and weather.
This report is brought to you by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Traffic First, also sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Are you experiencing nagging body pain, tired of taking medication for relief, neck and back, arthritis, tendonitis, muscle soreness, and more? The Restore Wellness Center can help relieve or eliminate the pain completely and get you back to work. Reserve your appointment today. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com. Accident-free, Kevin, just looking at construction in Detroit, 8 Mile eastbound between Gratiot and 94. Your right two lanes are closed through July 20th. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the law firm of Victoria. The law firm of Victoria, divorce and family law firm, has moved its operations to a remote work environment. They are committed to providing the same excellent standard of service to their clients. Security, protection, a brighter tomorrow. 248-723-1600, victorialawfirm.com. Good health to all.
Pretty tranquil here. You can leave the umbrellas home. Looks like we're not going to see much rainfall. None mentioned over the next few days. Certainly it could change, but let's go with it. Clouds mixed with some clear sky this morning and partial clouds this afternoon. Got a pair 8s, 88 degrees. Tonight, 66 and clear. Sunshine tomorrow. Looky there. Another pair, 88. Sunshine on Thursday, 91. Then Friday, Saturday's the 4th. Low 90s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. For the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
It's 5:44. Let's check in with Rush Limbaugh.
An 8th grade student in New York City has written an op-ed in the New York Times that I cannot believe they ran. 13-year-old Veronique Mintz says that she's learning more with distance learning, like at home, than she did when her school was open. Now, she says that before the coronavirus lockdown, she had to put up with other students talking out of turn every day. They destroyed classroom materials, openly disrespected the teachers. They blurted out answers during tests. She says that other students regularly pushed and kicked and hit each other, and that was life in her middle school every single day. Now, she wrote about the problems with so-called collaborative learning, which she says accounts for 80% of classroom work in her school. It's done in groups. Dedicated students have to try to make the unmotivated kids finish assignments and behave. But distance learning has allowed Ms. Mintz to take control of her own studies. She can now focus on her work and is not being held back by the losers. Ms. Mintz, I want to thank you. You have single-handedly explained why so many parents in New York and in other blue cities want school choice. They want a say in where they send their kids to school so they won't have to put up with what you've been forced to put up with every day until the coronavirus saved you. How about that?
Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3 today, right here on WJR.
Okay, team.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it Friday yet? No.
No, Dayna.
Not yet.
You have a shortened week, though.
I do, yes. Very excited about the shortened work week.
Dayna, you talked about your alarm going off or getting up late. My alarm went off. I had no idea why it was going off or
where you were.
I was the same, Kevin.
Happened. I'm just like, what? What do you want? Like,
right.
I was exactly the same. I was in I haven't been sleeping that soundly, and when my alarm went off, I was like, what?
What's happening? What? Who did it? What's happening?
Want?
I know. Okay, so cool. Maybe it was the good night air. Good morning, Patrick. He wants me to do his traffic all the way up to Mackinac on Friday. Oh, Patrick, you have a safe trip. I won't be working on Friday, but you got this. You got this, Patrick.
So Mike, we've had several comments on the Dream Cruise, you guys. Mm-hmm. People are basically like, yeah, the Dream Cruise is still going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
If people would stay in their cars, but that's not going to.
I don't know. Well, we have Sheriff Bouchard coming on today to talk about this and what they're what they might be able to do or not do. I'm sure they don't even know, but the cars are coming for sure, and people are gonna come too, whether they space out on Woodward or if they just get in their car. Maybe there'll be old cars, new cars, regular cars, all driving up and down Woodward at the same time. Maybe that's what it'll look like. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just promoted an event for the Dream Cruise. It was like a Dream Cruise party for M1.
Oh, yeah, they are still.
Is that still happening? Do you know?
Yeah, they still want to have their party, but it'll look a lot different.
Well, is it outside?
Yeah, well, the facility. Have you been over there? It's beautiful. The facility.
Is that the one where they store the cars?
Yeah.
Yes, we did a show from there one year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
really
very
nice.
cool. Yeah. So, has anyone in the group participated in the Dream Cruise? Have you guys ever done it?
Brought a car, you mean?
Yes.
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
It could be fun.
I had a friend who owned a gas station on the corner, on one of the corners on Woodward, and they had lots of people who had cars, and it was pretty neat to spend the day there and kind of watch the whole thing unfold.
So you're from that side of town, Kevin. Is it a tough weekend when they have it?
I'm usually up north.
Right on time, right?
You start
it all.
Well, you see enough. Like it starts a week early. I mean, they
A
start coming
week, Kevin, a month.
A month.
People are sitting out in those parking lots in their cars, in the McDonald's and everywhere else.
Right. I mean, I feel like I've seen enough by the time it gets there.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, you're like, oh wait, is it Dream Cruise time? And you just dodge Woodward completely.
Totally. Backed up. I've been stuck in traffic on Woodward.
For the Dream Cruise?
Yes. I'm like, what the heck?
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Good morning and welcome back to the Paul W. Smith Show. During the break, we continued our conversation about the Dream Cruise. Our people who are watching us on Facebook Live say you can't stop the Dream Cruise. You can say it's canceled, but it's not going to happen. The round table is here with us. Dayna Clark, Dick Hafner, and Ann Thomas. We were talking a little bit. The cars are coming anyway. The people are coming anyway. What do you think is really going to happen? Because this thing has really become a month-long celebration up and down Woodward with cars, and the people just love it. They just put their lawn chairs out on the side of the road on Woodward, and they just watch the cars. How do you cancel that? It's like canceling summer.
True.
Good point. I don't know.
True. Maybe they'll have someone in the parking lots.
It's the people's cruise.
Not letting them park.
So I guess we'll just have to see how it unfolds. We do have Sheriff Bouchard coming on later on the show, and we'll ask him what they expect to do, if there's going to be some sort of enforcement or if it's just a general cancellation, and they'll do their best to keep people safe and separated. And speaking of that, I wanted to talk to you guys about the protests that took place in Detroit. We talked a little bit about this the other night. It's been great to see people standing up and protesting and saying they want change and reform in the police department. And it's important that police make sure that they're peaceful demonstrations and that everybody stays safe. But the other night, a police car got in the middle of the protesters, and the protesters climbed on top of the cruiser. And you've probably seen the video now. The police officer accelerated, and the protesters kind of went flying. Well, the police have had an opportunity to look at that a little bit, and they said the police officers were afraid they were going to be shot. They thought that their life was in danger, and they needed to accelerate and get out of there. And the police chief, James Craig, has backed them up on that and said that's what they needed to do. They had to get to safety because they were fearful for their lives. And now, last night, the protesters who have been fairly supportive of the police chief have said they want Police Chief James Craig to resign, and they want Mayor Mike Duggan to resign. And I just wonder how you guys feel. We've been talking, and you guys have been covering it day in and day out. But from my perspective, it seems like Detroit has done really well when you compare it to other places around the country, working through a difficult situation. I just wonder if it surprised you that some of the protesters and some of the bigger groups suddenly have said, "Wait, we think James Craig is protecting police officers who are aggressive with protesters."
I was surprised, but not surprised.
Well, how big is this group?
Well, the one main group is one of the biggest. It's not a small group. It's the group Detroit Will Breathe, I believe is the name of it, and that's one of the larger groups. They've had the most organized protests from the beginning, and they've had the loudest voice as this has come through. I think this is something that they're going to have to talk about. Mayor Mike Duggan has said that he needs to wait and see what all the information is. He wants to see all the reports come in and hear more about this before he makes an official statement on his thoughts on what happened. But the police chief held a press conference and came out and said, look, the officers did the right thing. The protesters were not happy with this. They thought this was just another example. And you remember early on, there were conversations about, police shooting rubber bullets into the crowd. There were some members of the media who were tear gassed and hit by rubber bullets. And this is specific incidents in, month-long activities. Overall, the picture has been pretty peaceful in Detroit. But the organization is pretty serious about what they were saying last night, that they feel that Detroit's administration is protecting aggressive police officers as it comes to protesters.
That's interesting.
James Craig always seems to be very fair.
Yeah, I think so too.
I am. I don't know. I didn't see the tape. I didn't see it at all. Obviously, we don't have all the information that the police have, but people are still protesting. Come on, people. I mean, you have a right to protest, and Detroit has been doing a great job. We get the message. The message has been heard loud and clear. Make sure you vote. That's your number one way to protest. But just being out and, just for the sake of, I can be out, I can stir up trouble and cause trouble. That's not good.
Our experience with the chief has always been that if there's been a problem with police officers, he's the first one to say, hey, we got to get this taken care of. So
Right.
I think at the end of the day, he's going to do the right thing here. And I agree with Kevin that, Detroit overall, I mean, there's always issues. This is a very
Yes.
tough situation. But
Yes.
overall, compared to some of the other cities, Detroit has done extremely well, both the mayor and the chief. This is tough. There's a lot of tough issues here.
Really hard not to give the chief the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, he does step up and stand up and address the complaints, and he gives you his perspective on it. And I suspect we'll hear from the chief, on this issue some more, because he held his press conference and then there was pushback. And typically when that happens, they'll regroup, they'll consider what everybody said, and they'll come back and talk some more about it. But Dayna, to your point, the protests, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but, the governor has come out with a new plan for what she'd like to see happen with police and how they'd like to move forward. In New York, the budget was slashed by $1 billion for the police, from $6 billion to $5 billion. They're going to use that other $1 billion for other programs to help youth and other people in the organization. So I don't know. I would never tell people to stop protesting, because there are problems that exist. But a difference is being made. We'll see if it's for the better or not. But certainly, we want our voices to be heard for sure. But I'm anxious to see what happens here, because to your point, Dick, these protesters, this isn't just a couple of people saying, hey, we want him out or something. These are kind of some of the key organizers of the protest daily who were speaking out last night. So obviously more of this to come. We will take a quick break and be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Let's check in with traffic and weather.
This report is brought to you by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Quiet start on the roadways, no accidents, no delays. Construction in the way along 75 southbound between Adams and 8 Mile. That's in Bloomfield Township. Construction has the road reduced to just 2 lanes as scheduled through early November. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Starline Mackinac Island Ferry. Hightail it to Mackinac Island on a Starline hydrojet or catamaran ferry. And now a new pirate ship, the Good Fortune. Starline offers the largest open-air boats disinfected before every trip, with fares starting at $19. Get discount tickets and vacation packages at MackinacFerry.com. That's MackinacFerry.com. Expecting lots of sunshine again today. If you like yesterday, you're like today. A high near 88 tonight, clear skies, low 66, 88 on hump day as well. Sunshine, overnight low, same temp, 66. For Thursday, it gets even hotter. Sunshine and a high of 91. Crank up that AC. Clear skies, 66 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner is coming up in 2 minutes.
Hey guys, we're clear.
We're clear.
Clear for takeoff.
Talks amongst yourselves.
Right, clear.
What else is happening this morning?
Clear. Yeah.
Oh,
what
my
else
goodness.
is?
All right, I'll give you guys
As Dick would say, it's a big
It's
world.
a big world out there.
It's a big world. I was gonna have a little conversation that might interest Dick and I more. Actually, and your state grad too. I want to talk a little bit about this Amani Bates kid going to Michigan State. I don't know if you saw that, but
I did.
That was a big announcement on ESPN, and millions of people were surprised that the sophomore would announce that he's verbally committed to Michigan State, which is huge for Izzo and the program and everybody. He may not get there, but it's pretty big. And then did you guys see the? You probably did. It's a couple days old, but did you see the little story about Debbie Dingle and not being able to still wearing her wedding ring and not being able to give away her husband's things, her stuff?
No.
It's just too hard still to give away her stuff.
Can't imagine.
I bet a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
I just wanted, and she said, "Well, yeah, of course, I'm still wearing my wedding ring." I don't know how many years it's been. I didn't look at it that close, but it's been a couple. But she was saying that
Has it? It doesn't even seem like it.
she was saying, John has so many things,
right?
Over this long career that would mean so much to so many people. She'd like to give them away to different people, but she can't. It was just interesting that.
So John died on February 7th of 2019.
February 7th.
Okay.
So what is that, like a year and a half?
A year, yeah. It's only
March, April,
2020.
May. Not even a year and a half. Almost a year and a half.
Okay. It doesn't seem like it. Time is going fast.
I know. But, that's an interesting topic because at what point, number one, do you take your wedding ring off?
Right.
But
you
number
can,
two,
you can wear it as long as you want.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
giving.
Does that make it harder or easier to meet men, Dayna?
Harder. No, easier.
Easier.
I guess it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting moving on in general. It's for everybody. It's interesting, but she's always Debbie's great. She just always talks about whatever's on her mind.
Yeah, when she was on with we could hear Dick. Annie, can Dick be taken down?
Dick is down.
I can't hear him.
I hear him.
Out of our.
Okay, there we go. She was on with Paul the other day, and she almost started to cry, saying that because Paul W. said, I miss John, and she was saying, yes, I miss him so much too. I can't imagine how people get through stuff like that, but I guess you just do.
Well, and during the pandemic,
Right.
Dayna, all these people that have had to not be with their loved ones when they passed.
Oh, I know. That's very tough.
That's
Very-
beyond.
That it is, because they would have to arrest me, right? Like I could not, I would have to go in and at least, I don't know.
When my aunt passed away, they let my uncle go in a full suit, a full protective suit, and then they let one of the children go. So the oldest child went in. The others had to say goodbye by Zoom.
Are you serious?
And, yeah, they were there in the next room, but they couldn't go in. And like I said, the priest did last rites via Zoom, and the kids, only the oldest child got to go in. So I mean, those are tough ways to say goodbye. That's what
Awful.
So those nurses, you talk to the nurses who were there, when people were dying, and they were so important to the people who were passing away and the families, because they would take the messages back. They would say, the people would, want to say goodbye, and they'd say, well, we'll let them know, and they would. But yeah, that's one of the hardest parts of the whole COVID thing to me.
And, you know, nurses and doctors are like angels. I mean, they're right there with those people as
Yes.
they're struggling and they're taking their last breaths. They're the ones that are basically, you know, escorting them into heaven, if you will. It's what they have done over the past several months is extraordinary.
Beyond
work.
beyond
It's
words.
right.
Beyond words.
When my daughter was born, she was born with a hole in her heart. She had to have open heart surgery at 4 weeks old. And we went to Children's Hospital, and we stayed there for days and days and days. I don't even know, but we were so lost and so worried and so sad and everything. And these nurses just they took you in, and then they went through the whole process with you, and then everything was okay, and then you were better, and then you're walking out with your baby, and the next family was coming in to completely distraught. They were at the beginning of their process, and it just struck me so much. Over and over again, they do this. It's not just what you went through while you were there. The next day, someone else,
somebody else.
Like, it's over and over and over, and they must just feel it must just be very rewarding when they see that they've helped a family at that time, because man, like every day, oh, here it comes, you know, it's the tears and the stuff. There's tears of worry and tears of joy, and it's just what a job.
Emotional toll that must take on them every day. I don't know how they do it.
And then in the pandemic with just you know, people in the hallways and everywhere, really, really tough.
Mike says the protesters should not have been jumping on a police car. True.
Correct.
Just think if a bunch of people were surrounding you and jumping on your car, you would be terrified. Of course.
That's what the mayor said.
Of course you would be terrified. Yes.
Yeah, that's what the mayor said. He said, "What, you know, think about if that was you, what would you do? Would you try to get out of there?"
Do. Why did they get on a car?
Right.
I mean, at one point, the mayor and the chief even met with the protesters. I mean, they are really trying to listen.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough, and something like that can jump off every single day. I mean,
yes,
you know.
Yeah.
All it takes is one person to start this domino effect.
Exactly.
Because when you're out there protesting and you're in the throes of it, I'm sure emotions, as we were talking about, just take over, and you end up probably doing something that you really, I don't know, you might get swept away. Like I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of things can happen.
Good point. A lot of things can happen.
Right. Just like all of a sudden,
it's hot. You know,
it's hot. You're have COVID fatigue. You know what I mean? You're upset. You're all these emotions coming out, and you get swept up in a crowd that's doing the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden you're in that crowd. So, boy, what a tough time.
I'm sure a lot of parents have had that conversation.
Right,
that same conversation, Dana.
Yes,
children
on other things, you know.
Well, or even going to a protest.
Yes.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
If you are a fan of Michigan State basketball, yesterday was a really, really, really great day for you. A kid out of Ypsilanti by the name of Imani Bates went on ESPN around 1:40 yesterday and shocked the world by saying in 2 years when he graduates high school, he's going to go to Michigan State University, a verbal commitment to play basketball for Tom Izzo. If you don't know who Imani Bates is, well, he's about the best basketball player ever in the history of the game to come out of high school. He's been compared to LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 15 years old, the youngest basketball player ever to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated, younger than even Michael Jordan when he came on. This kid, I've seen him in the gym. He is unbelievable. He was shooting 3-pointers one day in the gym, and someone was rolling their iPhone, and he hit 75 in a row. 75 3-pointers in a row. This kid, he can dribble like Isaiah Thomas. He can shoot like Steph Curry. They say he's tall. He's like 6'8". He looks like Kevin Durant. And this kid is so good. As a freshman, they won the state championship. As a sophomore, they were on their way to winning the state championship. And now this year, along with the announcement that he's verbally committing to Michigan State, his family is starting a prep school. So he's leaving his public high school in Ypsilanti and starting a prep school in Ypsilanti. And they have 5 of the best basketball players in the Midwest coming to be on this kid's team. So they got a kid from Romulus and a kid from Mount Clemens. And this is like a dream team of high school basketball players. They got a kid from Georgia who's a 5-star player. And so this is like a super team. So they're not going to be allowed to play in the regular high school playoffs or anything like that. What they're going to do is they're going to have a 20-game schedule where they play other super teams from around the country. And so when this kid is a sophomore, well, guess who else is a sophomore? LeBron James's kid is a sophomore. And he plays out in California. And I think Dwayne Wade's kid is on that same team.
Oh boy.
And they have a super team. There's a super team in Texas. I think there's one in Florida. And immediately when this was announced, this may be the super team of all super teams. So I don't know if you remember back when LeBron James was in high school and he was going to go straight to the pros. All of a sudden, I think ESPN carried a high school game. People went crazy. Like everybody wanted to see this game. And even last year, this high school, they played their games at Eastern Michigan because the regular gym couldn't hold all the people who wanted to see this.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And you know, if you don't follow high school sports, you might not even know, but they're saying this kid is going to be the best basketball player possibly ever in the state of Michigan. You know, that's, you know, Magic Johnson. That's a lot of good players.
He averages 31.6 points a game.
Yeah, 31. That's as a sophomore. As a sophomore.
Yes, a sophomore.
So it sounds like he could go straight to the NBA if there were an NBA right now.
Right.
But
Yeah,
good,
so
but good for him.
Go to college basketball. Just go right to the NBA like Kobe and LeBron.
Yeah, but good
So
for
right
him
now-
for wanting to go to school.
Well, right now there's a rule that says you can't go straight to the NBA. So you have to spend 1 year somewhere. There's this thing called the G League, they call it. And if you're really, really good and you don't want to go to college, you go to the G League and you get paid $100,000 a year or something. You play, I think it's overseas, I believe, maybe not, but you go, you can play, and then you have to be 1 year out of high school to play. Right now, the NBA is talking about changing that rule again. And ironically, it would fall the same year Amani graduates from high school. So there is a possibility that he could go straight to the pros, or he could go to the G League. But that's why it was such a shock. He was not recruited by any colleges because everyone just assumed he was going to go pro. He's just too good for college.
Yeah.
So what would he do, Kevin? Would he play for 1 year at Michigan State and then go pro?
Most likely, yeah. I mean, he wouldn't stay for 4. He's that good. So they say if he was in the draft right now as a sophomore, he's 16 as a sophomore. If he was in the draft this year, they say he would go number 1 this year.
Wow.
Number 1 this year. That's how much talent and ceiling this kid has. And so it's really amazing. So, the family is, trying to keep him grounded, imagine, these super contracts, are $50 million contracts and $50 million shoe contracts and all of this stuff swirling in your head. And this kid just goes into the gym. And his dad was saying, one of the reasons that they left the public school and went to this prep school, one was so that he could play with better talent and improve. And it was, like you said, he was averaging 31 points on his team. He'd only play half the game. That's that's how much they'd be winning.
Get out of here, kid. Give somebody else a chance.
Exactly.
To
And so they would but there was also fear that he might get hurt. I mean, imagine how important it is that he doesn't have a career-ending injury, in high school with this much potential talent. And they were saying playing with some of these kids, a lot of the kids they play against, not that there'd be intentional stuff necessarily, but you'd be playing against kids and they don't even have enough basketball players. So some football players play or lacrosse players play and they're just running, they're running around. The dad was saying the game is much safer when you're playing with all people who play basketball all the time. And so it was very interesting, and he's going to become mainstream very, very quickly. You're going to suddenly you'll be like, hey, what's on TV? And this high school kid, Monty Bates, is going to be playing some team from Dallas or something, and it's going to be on ESPN, and he's going to be a local kid. But amazing story for the other kids. these other kids who are joining him, this elevates their ability to. They'll all get Division I scholarships to college anyway, but this will really elevate their opportunity to get better and play in the NBA. And there's like 3 or 4 Michigan kids from Michigan, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this kid.
How great for Tom Izzo!
Yes,
How great for Izzo! Congrats, Annie.
Well, and maybe we could get them all to come to Michigan State.
Yeah,
right.
Team.
They're saying Izzo started. They said Izzo started going after this kid and recruiting this kid in middle school. They knew when he was about 12 that that this was going to happen. They didn't just start recruiting him the other day. So
that's excellent. Yeah, good story.
All right, we will be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show right after we check in with weather and traffic.
All feeling the weight of COVID-19. But for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
Traffic First, sponsored by Chris Furniture. Chris Furniture thanks God for getting us through this hardship and celebrates the 4th of July with deep discounts on new orders and in-stock furniture. Chris Furniture is open now by appointment only Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call today, 734-427-3080. Accident-free on the roadways, a Blue Water Bridge westbound, a 30-minute delay for trucks between Canada and the U.S. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Are you experiencing nagging body pain, tired of taking medication for relief, neck and back arthritis, tendonitis, muscle soreness, and more? The Restore Wellness Center can help relieve or eliminate the pain completely and get you back to work. Reserve your appointment today. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com.
Don't see much changing with the storm track to the west and southwest of us. Storms have been diving around us. A few clouds to mostly cloudy to partly cloudy as we head through the next few days. So kind of mixing it up. Some clouds mixing with sunshine this morning and partial clouds with sun later. 88 tonight, mainly clear. Pretty comfortable for this time of year. 66. Suburbs might be a tad cooler. Sunny tomorrow, 88. Plenty of sunshine, probably for the rest of the weekend to the weekend. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stitching out News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, it's Paul W. You hear me talking about Victor's Roofing, the fastest growing roofing company in Southeast Michigan and the exclusive dealer of RoofMax, an amazing all-natural.
Okay. Kevin, we are in a break here. And Chad Livengood has just texted me, and he's prepared. Oh, you see that?
Yeah.
He's prepared to talk about the new state budget deal.
He's throwing us a curveball.
That's interesting, though.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that a good deal? I mean, they came up with that without a lot of
those guys haven't agreed on anything. They haven't agreed on anything in 2 years.
The COVID agreement.
Yeah, I think they both agreed that we're broke, and if we don't figure out how to get some money,
we can't fight. We can't fight about this. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I mean, usually it's this back and forth, and we hear about it for days, and there's a big fight, and all of a sudden now we have a deal overnight. That's kind of
it was. I think we touched on it yesterday with the governor a little bit when I said that we have a $6 billion deficit
that
we have to address. And, and she said, yes, we have a serious problem that we have to. So they had to come together. I believe that this is for like emergency service. This is just to keep the state open.
Seriously?
I believe they had to. I'm going to pull it up again. I read it. I'm going to read it again, though.
Okay.
3 times a day. We'll tell you what you need to know and why it matters, all in 60 seconds. Just ask your smart speaker to play the Marketplace Minute or find it wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. I am headed backstage.
All right.
I'm here if you need me.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer and lawmakers, including Republican lawmakers, are announcing a plan to balance the state's 2020 budget, coming together which is something that hasn't happened a lot. Joining us now to talk about this deal that happened overnight is Chad Livengood from Crane's Detroit Business. Chad, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show. Chad, are you there?
Yep. Sorry about that, Kevin. I muted my phone for a second.
Oh, that's okay. They like it when I mute my phone. So you've been following this budget deal. Kind of a surprise. It seemed to pop out of nowhere, but I guess it was coming together of necessity.
Well, yeah. So the legislature and Governor Whitmer, they have obviously not been getting along on a lot of issues for about a year now. I mean, they had last year's budget showdown that resulted in the governor signing a huge host of multi-million-dollar vetoes there, sort of a very shock and awe veto lion and veto session as she went on back at September 30th, right before the deadline, because she wasn't really happy with the budget that the legislature presented her. Then she went and used this state administrative board to rearrange some more spending, which also further upset the legislature. And then they finally worked out a deal with some compromise for just before Christmas. But things have been kind of tense, particularly between the leadership, in particular Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and Governor Whitmer. And now they have forged a deal to close a $2.2 billion budget shortfall that seems to mostly heavily rely on the stimulus money from the CARES Act that was sent to the states to help deal with the coronavirus outbreak and fallout. And so that's a big portion of it that is going to help relieve a bunch of schools of getting bigger cuts. They're using about $950 million of this federal stimulus relief funds.
So there's like two pots of money, right? There's a rainy day fund. I think when Governor Snyder left office, there was about $1 billion in the rainy day fund, and then with the federal assistance from coronavirus, how much money? Do you know how much money came in from that? Was that another billion, or was it more than that?
950. Well, there's a little more than that that's available, but they're waiting for Congress to give them approval to use it beyond helping schools, basically, and municipalities. So there's $950 million federal funds from the CARES Act. There's $350 million from the rainy day fund, which is about $1.1 billion. And there was they're estimating almost $500,000 in savings through the current hiring freeze in state government, the layoffs, and that's not been exactly defined what that'll include. There already is a 1 day a week furlough for 31,000 state workers who are taking basically 3-day weekends right now, but losing money. But then they're also actually gaining money through some additional unemployment. So and then there's about a $250 million reduction in K-12 schools, a $200 million reduction to the universities and community colleges, and a little under $100 million in revenue sharing for school for local governments. And then you have about $475 million in public safety costs that are also eligible for coronavirus relief funds. So they're dipping in the coronavirus in different ways. And then they're also finding ways to rearrange some Medicaid dollars. So it all comes out to about $2.2 billion in reduced spending, or at least they're gonna shore up the shortfall, so to speak, not all reduced spending.
So before the pandemic hit, if my memory's right, the talk was about fixing the roads, and the Republican legislature was like, if you want to fix the roads, you want to spend this money, you need to make cuts. You need to make a lot of cuts in a lot of areas. And the governor was like, that's not what we're doing. We're going to fix this roads with new money, even if we have to go borrow it. Now the pandemic has hit. Has the the fact that the pandemic has impacted our budget so much, has that aligned these two more? Are they closer together, or is this out of necessity, or is this a no-brainer that there's this federal money here, there's this rainy day fund money, we're very, very short on our budget, this just absolutely makes sense?
Well, I don't think anybody would dispute it's a rainy day right now economically, and so this is what this fund was built for. People might recall at the end of the Granholm administration, after the Great Recession, there was something around the neighborhood of $30 million in the rainy day fund when Rick Snyder took office. So this was a huge priority for him and in the last 8 years of Republican-controlled legislatures to build this fund up. And it was meant for this. So this has been a decade in the making, essentially. But for the roads, Kevin, the roads are really taking a back seat right now in Lansing. The governor's bonding plan, the $3.5 billion bonding plan that she announced back in February, at the time that was seen as, hey, if we can't get a tax increase, well, we still got major problems with our roads that we got to address now, or it'll just get progressively worse real quickly. That's turning into maybe the best timed unplanned economic stimulus that could have maybe come about in state government. And so yeah, that's actually turning out to be going to maybe be a lifesaver for roads, because it's going to end up possibly replacing lost revenue, because gas tax revenue is down. People obviously didn't drive as much or hardly at all in late March, early and all of April and most of May. And so that gas tax loss is going to be made up in some ways by the proceeds from the bonds that are being issued over the next 3 years.
I asked the governor yesterday, she was on the show, and I asked her, I said, is this going to be a 5 or 10 year effort to recover from this disaster, economic disaster from the pandemic? And, she wasn't going to put a timetable on it, but she said, look, we still want to get the things done that we said we were going to do. And we're going to do everything we can to come out of this. But I'm curious what you think. Do you think this is something we bounce back in a year or two, or do you think this is 5 or 10 years, or could it be even longer?
Well, I think you take the experience in the Great Recession, and it took at least half a decade of the last decade to kind of get back, recover in many ways. I mean, just look at tax revenue is never quite recovered. We are spending our general fund, the state of Michigan, $10 billion general fund, is the same as it was basically in 2000. I mean, we have not really, the state government has not really grown. So just for terms of what recovery looks like, these things can be really slow. Universities are now getting cut $200 million. And a lot of universities were bracing for a 15% cut. That is exactly what they got cut in 2011 to balance the state budget, and that has taken them a decade to recover what they lost in the last big state budget cut. And so that's a little perspective that these things do take time, particularly from a tax revenue standpoint. And that's also just a reflection of what we tax and who we don't tax and what we don't tax. And that taxes have not been a part of the discussion here, but I imagine they will at some point, because these decisions that get made now will affect people for many years to come. As we found out with business tax credits that were granted to the big three during the Great Recession, we're still paying the $600 million a year coming out of that $10 billion general fund budget that goes to the tax credits for the big three and other auto suppliers.
Yeah, well, it's nice to get $1 billion in coronavirus relief from the federal government, but at the end of the day, that's still all of our taxes. We still have to pay for the federal taxes, at least our portion of them, as well as the state taxes. Just quickly, because we're running out of time, but do you think the Republican legislature is getting along better with the governor, or do you think that just difficult times demand it?
I think difficult times demand it, and also there's an election around the corner, Kevin. Everybody's trying to just look like they're governing and not obstructing.
All right, Chad Livengood, thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, let's check in with weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking for an easier way to find your next job? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Visit ExpressPros.com to find one of over 830 locations to help support your workforce needs.
Roadways are not looking too bad, Kevin. A slight delay in Bloomfield Township along 75 southbound between Adams and Crooks, and a 30-minute delay for trucks across the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. If you liked yesterday, you're really going to like the next several days. We do remain dry, lots of sunshine each day. A high of 88 today and hump day, and on Thursday, sunshine up to 91 degrees. Clear skies, currently 66 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News, with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Spa Naturel in Fenton is everything from nails and hair facials, massages, waxing, and more. Spa Naturel has natural products for a healthier you. To schedule your appointment, call today at 810.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
That was interesting. Yeah, that's a interesting development that he's talking about there.
Yeah, they. I'm sure they. I'm sure they sat down and said, "All right, look, we've got to take care of these issues immediately." I mean, that's just tough.
Yes. So when we come back here, this is just chat with Dick and myself. If
Okay.
we can talk about, we haven't talked about the Debbie Dingle story.
Right. Yep. I get talking basketball and I lose my mind.
I love basketball, though. I love
Yeah.
high school basketball, and I really love college basketball.
Yeah, I know. I do too. Yeah, so we can talk about Debbie Dingle, see how far that gets us, and then the World Health Organization put out the article saying the worst is yet to come.
Yes.
We're not even there, and then Arizona shut down their bars and gyms overnight. So I don't know if that's a sign of what's coming next for us. I know our Facebook friends might get mad if we talk about COVID, but
Our Facebook friends can chime in and tell us what they'd like us to chat about.
Be a part of the conversation.
Absolutely. We'll listen and express their views for them. Good morning, Jim. We have got Patrick and Clay and Daryl. The gang's all here this morning.
Let me jump over
Isn't
to
it amazing how many people get up so early?
I know, it's great. We had that conversation. We were having that conversation about getting up early, and I'm surprised a lot of people. I guess as you get older, you get up earlier. I guess, but I'm surprised how many people like to get up at 5 a.m. and start their day and just get organized. Even if they go to work at 9, they like to get up. I have a friend who gets up and watches a movie in the morning before he goes to work. Like he's like, I'm too tired at night, but I wake up in the morning and I can watch the movie and I pay attention and I remember it and I enjoy it, and then I go to work. Isn't that funny?
Wow, I wonder if that's a relaxing thing.
Yeah, I don't know. He just says like he gets up and so he starts his day upbeat because he watched a movie and did something he enjoys, and it's just interesting, different people's routines. But
So one of our Facebook listeners, viewers, Patrick, who's with us every morning, very loyal, he says there's a coin shortage.
do we know why?
I don't know. I didn't know there was one.
Does Google know why? Let's see.
Google that.
Google that.
I don't know. I had not, frankly, Patrick, I hadn't even heard that there was one. So that's kind of interesting.
So anyway, what we're gonna have to do to start doing one of these days is giving the video StreamYard code to some of our viewers and have them pop on with us.
Oh,
Like a
boy,
call.
you're taking this to a whole new level.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We just, it's like taking a phone call.
So Jim is complaining.
Penny
He
for your
said
thoughts
he heard
are
a
a
lot
lot
of
harder to
fireworks.
find. 5 days ago, coins have become scarce as virus lockdown keeps people from emptying.
Oh, almost like bottle returns.
Coins have become scarce. Virus lockdown keeps people from emptying their coin jars in exchange for paper bills. Chief Executive of First National Bank of Tennessee was surprised to learn in mid-June that the Federal Reserve would not be filling his entire order of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. The reason the nation's coin supply was coming up short. All right, Patrick, we may throw that out there, see what people think.
Yeah, I did not know that.
I
Can
don't-
you take your bottles back, by the way, now?
But some stores have a limit on how many you can take back. They're trying to just like not overcrowding the hospitals. They don't want to overcrowd the can machines.
Wait, have you done it yet? Have you taken anything back?
I haven't.
No.
No,
Because
I
that's a
don't know.
job. That's going to be a job. And we're not the only ones that have that job.
That is a job for my adult kids who always want gas money and things.
That's what I said. I said, if anybody would like a little extra change, come on over to the garage. And they weren't that enthusiastic about the idea.
Diane says we should eliminate the penny. I could eliminate I could eliminate the nickel, the penny.
Why?
I only like quarters. It takes too many dimes to make a dollar. It's 10 of them. It's 20 nickels. It's carried a lot of change around to get to $1. How many things are less than $1?
Well, that's a good point. I'm going to add Dick in here. Here comes Dick. And then I'm going to add the radio station back into the stream here. So this seems to be from, I don't know who added this in from the control room. Is this you, Dick, that said they told people that the virus stayed active on metal? So people stopped using coins.
What?
People stopped using coins because they said the virus stayed active on
This is
metal.
Chef Bobby with Encore by ChefBobby.com. It's engagement season. Are you looking to plan the wedding of your dreams? Then look no further than Encore by Chef Bobby. We can assist you with every aspect of the planning process.
Checkout.
Wow.
That's a Diane here. She says Meyer is asking for coins. What is going on out there?
I did not know that.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to talk, although we're going to talk amongst ourselves and none of us know the answer. So
Well, our Facebookers will keep helping us and give
Yes,
us
you guys-
more information.
Facebook friends, you keep Googling out there. Keep bringing us more information.
Oh, Brian said this. Yeah, this is coming from Brian about the people
Signs on the door.
were concerned about the COVID.
Bonnie says, out and about yesterday, saw 2 businesses with signs on the doors requesting coins and small bills.
So they said the coins just stopped moving around the economy.
Now back to more.
Look at that.
Learn something new every day.
Once again,
I
substituting.
my bows to the church. Good morning on this final day of June 2020. Thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. Dick Hafner's with us, Ann Thomas is with us, and we have a big following on Facebook Live right now. If you want to check us out there, we're live and on video, and our listeners on WJR are all with us this morning. And during the break, we were talking about a penny for your thoughts could be a lot harder to find these days. Apparently, there is a massive shortage of coins out and about in the economy. I'm reading from an article here in the New York Times. It says coins have become scarce as virus lockdown keep people from emptying their coin jars in exchange for paper bills. So apparently, according to the banks, they can't deliver requests for coins to stores and various businesses because people who typically save their coins at home or collect their change in their pocket and then take it in and exchange it for bills are not doing that during the pandemic because they're not out and about. And maybe I remember, taking coins to like Coinstar before and pouring coins into the bank and remembering they take about 10%. They're kind of like the mafia. They take about 10% of your money. But apparently our Facebook friends are chiming in here that there's a shortage of coins. Dick, Ann, have you guys noticed a shortage of coins when you're out and about?
I had no idea. This is the first I'm hearing of it, but it makes sense. I totally can see why this is happening. The issue is is it okay now to start helping move the coin around, or are we still worried?
I think they're asking for people to do it. Some of our Facebook friends, Bonnie Zink, said she was out and about yesterday. She saw 2 businesses with signs on the doors requesting coins and small bills, warning that businesses would not break large bills. That becomes a problem if you can't make change. They were saying that Meijer no longer has change coming out of the self. When you self checkout and you scan your
Sure.
Your stuff. Clint Forrester said that they're telling people that there aren't enough coins to fill those machines. So I guess it can become pretty problematic pretty quickly. So Diane said, look, if you're going out and about, grab your coins, take them with you, and pay with coins instead of bills to get the coins moving again.
That's a good idea. Great idea, Diane.
So people were hoarding toilet paper, and now they're hoarding coins?
I don't think they're hoarding them as much as of when you're out and about and you're trying to be safe. The last thing you're thinking about doing is collecting all your coins and touching all your coins and then putting them into a machine or taking them to a bank. The banks. I've only been to the drive-through bank. I don't know if the lobbies are open anywhere. My bank lobby isn't open. It's drive-through only. I go to the drive-through. I just take that little canister out. I just start pouring coins into it. Then hit the button and shoot the coins into They'd probably be grateful. Maybe they give you an extra couple bucks for getting the coins back into the system.
I think some banks are starting to open their lobbies by appointment only. I received an email yesterday or the day before with regard to the fact that our bank was starting to slowly reopen branches, but it was by appointment only.
They must just be sending that to the big money customers, Ann. I haven't seen that email yet. It's funny though, you wouldn't think whatever, coin shortage, whatever. But I mean, if you're out there, if you have a business and suddenly you don't have any coins, how do you make change? You suddenly just go change all your prices. Everything's $1 even or $5 even or $3.
But nowadays, Kev, I use a credit card almost everywhere I go. I mean, you don't really exchange money as much.
That's what Diane was saying on Facebook Live. She said, "Who uses money? What's this money you're speaking of? What are these coins and bills that you have?"
Yeah, this is a sign of the further less use of cash. It's going to be all digital.
That's right, Dick. I agree with you. I absolutely agree. The other story that just continues to develop is taking all these bottles back.
Yeah.
I mean, what a job.
So many. I mean, people's garages are just full of them, and of course you weren't allowed to bring them back at all. And then they finally started to let you bring them back, but they said there was a limit on how many you could bring back. Who's in charge of enforcing that? I'm not sure, but I guess they would only pay out for a certain amount per person. And
$25.
Is that what it is?
Don't you think some enterprising young people in our neighborhoods should start their own little businesses and collect these? And
that's already happened.
Boy, is it happening? It's a great idea.
We did that to raise money when the kids were little for basketball or baseball or sporting events. They would go and ask for it.
And that's happening too.
Yeah.
Groups
but how do they take them back?
To collect bottles and cans to get the deposits and make it a contribution to a good cause. Some nonprofits have gotten together and put bins in front of stores telling you to dump in your deposit containers.
Now that's
and they tell you who they are and how they handle the money.
That's a good idea, because I'm going to sound like a mom here, which I am. I would be a little concerned about having the kids pick up the bottles, just again, this virus issue. So I love the idea of the nonprofits just having a bin outside the store. That's a really smart move, because are we worried about the spread of the virus?
I
recognize, though, that even if you give it to a nonprofit, somebody sooner or later has to handle the bottles and cans. So it's probably kind of like your recycling or your garbage. You put it out by the side of the road, it disappears, and you forget about it.
I don't know if the
Somebody's
virus
handling
would.
it.
I don't know if the virus would even survive in those can return machines. It's so gross in there. even COVID doesn't want to go there.
Good point,
No virus wants to be caught dead there.
But at least whoever is returning all those cans, they can put on the big rubber gloves and masks and kind of get in there. And that's all. I mean, that's where the hand sanitizer all first started in grocery stores, was at the can return place. Now they're spraying down all the carts and
so right.
and everything else.
All right.
All right, people, take your coins to the store. Pay for stuff with coins. The businesses need coins. There's a massive shortage out there. We will be right back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after we check in with weather and traffic.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Nice, quiet drive out there, Kevin. Still accident-free. Just checking on a 30-minute delay for trucks that's traveling across the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Chris Furniture. Chris Furniture thanks God for getting us through this hardship and celebrates the 4th of July with deep discounts on new orders and in-stock furniture. Chris Furniture is open now by appointment only Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call today, 734-427-3080.
We'll continue to crank out the dry weather here over the next few days, getting hotter as we head toward the 4th. Clouds in this morning with some sunshine at times. Partial clouds this afternoon with a high of 88. Tonight, clear 66, suburbs a tad cooler. Sunny tomorrow, 88. Thursday, sunny 91 and low 90s through the 4th. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stage on News Talk 760 WJR.
Believe. Doesn't that word open up a world of infinite possibilities? In these current tough times, we're all affected in some way or another, since we are all connected to the automotive industry. However, we have to believe in each other. Tom Moser Ford is all about giving back to our community. It's an honor to support schools and communities surrounding our dealership. We do all of this because I believe.
So Brian says he has no returnables because he ended up giving up pop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's impressive. Wow.
Even Diet Pop, huh?
Diet pop, everything, all pop.
I do get bored with water. I keep like a diet root beer or like Diet Mountain Dew, something like that. I drink maybe one a day or one every other day, just because I get so bored with water. But I think water is the best way to go.
We drink that, like a sparkling water. We love that stuff, I hope it's okay for you because we certainly
drink a lot of it.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of those cans.
Do you guys drink out of the tap or do you drink bottled water?
We drink filtered water. Just
water
one of
out of
those
the tap.
filters out of the tap. I mean, sometimes we drink bottled water.
We have so much. We go through so much bottled water. It drives me crazy. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the tap water. It's great.
At the radio station, we have Absop here, and they do a great job. So
Yeah.
if I do buy bottled water, I always try to buy Absop here. Yes, we really like that sparkling water. In fact, many times I've said to my husband, boy, I hope it's okay, because we certainly drink a fair amount of it.
Yeah. All of a sudden you find out later. That's why I always tell my family that's what's making my hair fall out. It must be the diet root beer.
Oh, here's Maura. I have Maura on StreamYard. I'm going to add her in here.
Oh, good.
Okay, here she is.
Hello,
Maura.
Hi, good morning.
Maura,
Hi.
meet Kevin Dietz. Kevin's in for Paul today.
Hey, Maura.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And I'm going to leave you two to chat, and I'm going backstage.
Awesome.
Oh, great.
Come back and help us if we need it.
I'm right here if you need me.
Great.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Well, I think we pop on here shortly in about a minute.
Okay.
And it looks like this segment is It looks like it's about 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So take your time. Feel free to go into detail.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Hey, it's auto insurance. There's a lot of detail in these plans.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Auto insurance reforms go into effect July 2nd, and drivers all over Michigan are scrambling to decide what to do, which plan to get into, how much money to try and save versus how much coverage they need if they get into a catastrophic accident. Joining us now is Maura Murphy. Maura, good morning. Thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So you are with Hackney Grover, which specializes in first and third party auto claims. You're also running for Oakland County Circuit Judge. How's that going?
Oh, it's going very well. I'm very excited about it.
It's probably tough with the COVID-19 pandemic going on and trying to get out and meet people, huh?
It is. I have the added complication of having a newborn. So
wow.
It was good, though. We were able to get all of our signatures via mailing and via, friends and family leaving my petitions on porches. And it was really a community effort, which was really kind of a cool thing, kind of a nice silver lining there.
Did you see that picture or video of some candidate? I believe they were in Michigan, but maybe not. They had a huge long stick with the petition on the end of the stick, and they were going door to door trying to get people to sign it and shouting on why they would be a good candidate and would they please sign the petition so they could run.
I did not see that. However, I gave birth on April 17th, and I was FaceTiming people, watching them sign my petition so I could later sign off that I watched them sign the petition per the governor's orders. So,
oh my gosh,
lots of strange things.
Congratulations on that. April. So where were we at in the pandemic at that point when you had the baby? Was that before everything shut down? No, it was after everything shut down.
It was after. So the shutdown was March 23rd. He was essentially born at the peak of COVID at Beaumont Hospital in Royal Oak.
Well, what was that like? I mean, was there overcrowding at that point at Beaumont, or how did that work?
You know what? I have to say they did a beautiful job. I was very concerned about what that might be like giving birth in a hospital where they also had COVID patients. My husband, we were fortunate my husband was able to be there, and we were concerned in the lead up to it that visitors wouldn't be permitted or even a support person wouldn't be permitted. It was kind of eerie. It was so quiet, and I don't think hospitals generally are described as quiet, but the maternity floor was quite quiet. We weren't allowed to leave our rooms, so it was interesting. It was certainly this is my third child, and it was certainly a much different experience than the first two. But all three of us came home from the hospital COVID free, so I'm grateful for that.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting times. That's a great story for your child to be able to tell down the road. Well, I promised we were going to talk a little bit about auto insurance, but this has been plenty fascinating. So tell us what is going on. What do we really need to know, and what do we need to do right now as it relates to auto insurance?
Well, so the best thing to do is to really take a look at, oh, pardon me, my 3-year-old is wandering through. So it's important to know where we can started from and where we may be going to. So where we started from was unlimited coverage for everyone with our PIP coverage and with our bodily injury coverage. And so the benefits that are included in PIP insurance are the medical bills, which of course we hear about all the time. Wage loss for up to 3 years following the accident. That is subject to a cap of approximately $70,000. It depends on the exact year of your accident. It gets adjusted every year. The cap does. Then there are two categories of benefits I'm not sure everybody is fully aware of, and those are known as replacement household services. And sort of inartfully, that is household chores, taking out the trash, cooking meals, doing the laundry, things like that. And then the second, and that is also capped at 3 years. And then what is called attendant care, which is sort of hands-on care. It doesn't have to be skilled nursing care. It doesn't have to go to that level. Family and friends can provide that. It's helping people brush their teeth, wash their hair, go into and from the bathroom, dress them, anything that's kind of, we call it hands-on care. So, that had been unlimited, and now people have these options. And that is going from, if you qualify, having no coverage, and that is because you are eligible and enrolled in Medicare Parts A and B. And by the way, all the members of your household can prove that they have qualifying coverage, all the way up to keeping the unlimited amount of PIP coverage. So what I think is really important for people to understand about the options that they have is what they're potentially giving up in trying to save money on that insurance. For some people with the right qualifying health insurance plan, maybe there are savings and they're not giving anything up, but there are certainly risks in doing so. PIP coverage had been unlimited for life, so long as the treatment that was provided or the care that was needed was related to the accident. And if you choose one of the policies, that has a cap on it, you are certainly potentially relying on your health insurance coverage, if you have it, to kick in beyond that cap of PIP insurance. If you lose that health insurance, you lose your job, you lose your health insurance, you lose coverage for any of these bills, and you're beyond the cap, you're sort of out of luck. So that's what I think it's really important for people to realize. The other is if you select, say, $250,000 of coverage, and God forbid you were in quite a bad accident, you also wouldn't likely have attendant care, replacement services, or wage loss benefits included, of course, in your health insurance. That's not something that is covered by health insurance generally. So lots of great options. I would not give advice on the air or advise anyone if there's one selection, because it just depends on the number of people in your household and if they're related to you and what your risk tolerance is, things like that.
Well, if you picked a plan, you're trying to save money, and you picked a plan that had a cap, it was like 250. If you got in a serious accident, you would burn through that almost immediately, right?
Yes, in my practice, we see that you're in a bad accident. That's one hospital stay.
Right, and so what would actually happen? You'd be out of money, and what would happen? The state would then take care of you, or you'd have some sort of care, but lesser care than you would if you had full coverage.
Right. So if you elect to keep the unlimited PIP coverage, which is something that you can elect to do, you would be covered for life. You also are eligible for it's called the MCCA, the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, and that's actually what kicks in right now. What kicks in at approximately $500,000. So my insurance company, if God forbid I were in an accident, would pay out up until the MCCA threshold, and then I would go into that. So my own insurer would not be paying my PIP benefits directly anymore. And I believe that the purpose behind that is to kind of spread out the risk for catastrophic claims for the insurers. That is still available if you elect that, but you are not eligible for the MCCA if you elect one of the insurances and one of the policies that is capped.
If you call your insurance agents, will they go through all of this, or are they trying to sell a bigger policy? Or what? So I hate to think that way, but what is the best advice you can give people?
Well, first, get an insurance agent that you trust, I suppose, who wouldn't be trying to upsell you. For me personally, I'm advising my friends and family members to keep their unlimited, to re-up on their unlimited PIP. I have seen so much in my litigation with people trying to get their medical bills paid, how expensive those medical bills are. Some interesting and things that were done as well with this new law is that there is now a fee schedule, which should be helpful in bringing hopefully costs down as far as what the medical providers can charge no-fault insurers for the services provided to the insureds. So it really is a complicated question. It really does depend on what if you choose a policy with a lower cap, what does your individual health insurance look like? What kind of coverage do you have there? And of course, nowadays we have, health insurance that's tied into our jobs. So that's my risk adverse self.
All right, Maura Murphy, thanks for checking in. Good luck with in running for the Oakland County Judge. Congratulations on the new baby, and thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Let's check in with traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19. But for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
Traffic First sponsored by Michael Perna and the Perna Team Realtors. Worried if this is the right time to sell your home? It's time to call Michael Perna. Michael Perna with Keller Williams Realty guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. Call Michael Perna, 844-737-6276, or visit thepernateam.com and start packing. 94 eastbound, slow between 96 and Trumbull. Still seeing a 30-minute delay for trucks across the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Chris Furniture. Chris Furniture thanks God for getting us through this hardship and celebrates the 4th of July with deep discounts on new orders and in-stock furniture. Chris Furniture is open now by appointment only Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call today, 734-427-3080. Lots of sunshine, a hot one again today. No rain over the next several days. Currently 65 degrees under sunny skies, going all the way up to 88 today. Tonight, clear skies, low 66. We hit 88 once again on Wednesday with sunshine, overnight low 66 once again, all the way up to 91 on Thursday. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
This is health reporter Lila Lazarus. Every 40 seconds, someone in this country has a heart attack. Even in a pandemic, if you have an urgent situation, St. Joe's emergency rooms are safe and open 24/7. Avoiding the ER or delaying needed procedures could have dire repercussions. St. Joe's has many measures in place to ensure safety of patients and staff.
Mr. Dietz.
Hello.
We have got a couple of business things here. I know we have Ned Timmons, and you saw that he's checked in and will be ready.
And then do we throw to Jeff Sloan at a 7-Eleven? Is that right?
There's about. Brian might give you a little bit of play
Okay.
there, depending on how things are going with the spot load. Bob Costantini is confirmed for 7:18.
Great.
And I can send you do you get their Westwood 1 roundup?
I have it.
You have it? Okay.
Yep.
And then I had a question. You probably know the answer to this. It's my understanding that with regard to the insurance, if we don't want to change our coverage, we don't have to do anything at all, right? We don't have to call the agent or anything. We can
You'll stay with what you'll stay with
what
current.
you have. The only reason to call the agent is to
Find out
to change the coverage.
Yeah, and you should be there actually should be some discounts on your regular coverage if you keep that as well. It shouldn't. It should. There should be a reduction even if you keep what you have, because the plan is supposed to reduce all of it for everybody, I believe.
And then haven't they also been giving some reductions because people haven't been driving as much?
Yes, and they 15% or 10%, 10 or 15%, and they were ordered to do that. Some were given, some companies were given more than others, but everybody got a discount, and I believe that's I'm pretty sure that's still in effect right now.
Okay. And I believe Ned is just on the phone. He's not joining StreamYard.
Yeah, he was not going to StreamYard us.
He's not interested in our.
He didn't know how to do it.
And I think most of our guests our guest toward the end from the Huron Clinton Metro Park. She's going to join us, do a little StreamYard visit.
Okay,
Once
good.
you get used to it,
It's great. Yeah.
it's kind of cool because then you get to see the interviewer.
I think the conversations are better when you see when you just see the facial reactions and whatnot.
You don't seem to interrupt as much. I
Right.
feel like I can see you and then I'm not interrupting you constantly.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's good.
All
All
right.
right, good.
All right. I'm going backstage.
All right.
Classify false, racially motivated 911 calls as a hate crime. Chief Craig says officers thought they were being fired upon by protesters in southwest Detroit 2 nights ago. A video showed a group surrounding a police car with at least 2 people on the front of the vehicle.
And it wasn't until that same police car someone broke out the rear window. We're not certain in our investigation if it was a skateboard, although there's reports of a skateboard being used, but they took out the entire back window.
2 protesters were sent sprawling. The investigation is continuing, according to the chief. A Minnesota judge says he's likely to move the trials of 4 former police officers charged in the death of George Floyd if public officials and attorneys continue speaking out about the case, creating too much publicity. Floyd, family attorney Benjamin Crump.
We're going to speak out for a change in the behavior and way we do policing in America as it relates to Black people. That is our First Amendment, and we believe we cannot be silenced because they keep killing our children.
The head of the UAW will meet today with U.S. Attorney Matthew Schneider. The union is taking steps to prevent further corruption, according to Schneider, who has said he was impressed at the steps being taken by the union president, Rory Gamble. Their meeting could lay the groundwork to a plan which would avoid a takeover of the UAW by the federal government. States continue to see rises in coronavirus. Arizona, Texas, Florida still wrestling with the rising COVID-19 cases. Ford says it will temporarily drop advertising on Facebook sites to urge Facebook to tightly regulate what they call hate speech. The Houston Association of Realtors says they will no longer use the term master when describing bathrooms or bedrooms when showing a house. World Market Update sponsored by Mother Waddles. Donate your card to Mother Waddles. Help the poorest of the poor. Call 313 Waddles. Asian markets are up. London is up a little bit. Dow futures are down slightly. For WJR News, I'm Dick Hafner. More coming up with Kevin Dietz.
Interested in advertising your business on WJR? Send an email to advertising@WJR.com. With nearly 10 million people residing within the reach of our signal, WJR gets results. Email us today, advertising@WJR.com.
It's Ken and Chuck, the Inside Outside guys, here to talk about CertaPro painters.
That's right, Ken. The state is reopening and CertaPro Painters is ready to get back to work.
Rest assured, CertaPro Painters knows how important your home is to you. They're taking precautions recommended by public health officials to help keep you and the painting team safe.
Very cool stuff, too, like free remote estimates for painting the outside or inside of your home. It's quick, safe, and easy.
And you know CertaPro Painters does a great job. Just ask WJR's Steve Courtney.
CertaPro Painters took excellent care of me. I had some exterior painting done, and they were on top of their game. They provided a custom project plan, firm estimate, and daily progress reports. You can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right and safely.
Interior or exterior, residential or commercial, CertaPro can take care of it all. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community.
That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
There's a new podcast coming out that's going to be hosted by Pulitzer Prize winner Jake Halpern. It's called Deep Cover. It's about drugs, motorcycles, and machetes in one of the biggest drug busts in the entire world. And it all started from a Detroit biker bar in Detroit in 1982. And it ended up with going after Manuel Noriega in Panama. It is the wildest story you've ever heard. And joining us on the line now is the undercover FBI agent who posed as a Detroit biker, went into this bar, made arrests, and it ended up landing with one of the biggest drug investigations in the United States history. Ned Timmons is on the other end of my line. Ned, good morning. Welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show.
Good morning, Kevin.
So take us back in time. You're a young FBI agent, and you go undercover to become a biker.
Well, it started out from the fugitive squad, and we had a case. We'd been chasing a guy for 5 or 6 years in the FBI, and the case got thrown on my desk, and we got a tip one night that the guy was actually playing in a band way out on the northeast side of Detroit, out in the suburbs, and that he was leaving town the next day, so we kind of had to move. And couldn't really get anybody. I got my one associate agent, Mark Codd. He was in law school, and we had to wait for him to get out of law school. So I had a partner out there, and we went out, and it was probably 100 bikers in the bar, a band playing, and we had an old picture from when the subject had been in prison, and we weren't really sure it was him. It looked a lot different. It was a dated photo. We were trying to see if it's him, and we had a lot of hostile people in the bar, and finally confronted him in the restroom where a tussle started, and we backed him out of the bar, and we got out to the parking lot with him. And at that point, a lot of the other bikers in the bar realized something had happened, and actually came around the corner of the bar with several of them with long gun weapons, and was a face-off in the parking lot. And my partner had got to a cell phone, or got to a payphone then, and called for help. And I'll always remember in the distance, it was late then and fairly quiet, and I could hear a siren coming, and saw that beautiful red light on a Michigan State Police car coming to help us. So that's the way it all started.
And so you're investigating these folks in Detroit. How does that lead up the chain? People who follow FBI investigations, they know they start with someone, and then it's sort of like, well, what else can you give us? Who's your boss? That kind of thing. Is that what happened? And tell us how that developed and how far it went.
Yeah, pretty much. Massive operation of airplanes and ocean-going barges, and it was so far-fetched at that time. We had people talking about airplanes flying all the way from Columbia into Michigan, and specifically Antrim County Airport up in the northern Lower Peninsula. And the fact that these were flying in nonstop was past our imagination then. But as I continued, at that time, the FBI became very interested in motorcycle gangs as a non-traditional organized crime, and had a very great FBI supervision that gave me the leeway to follow through with this, and the equipment that I needed. And basically, we penetrated several of the Detroit gangs, and they kept talking about this huge operation, and that when these loads came in, it just saturated Michigan with mostly marijuana, some cocaine. But we worked up the chain, and this went on for a couple of years, and finally we reached a guy that we knew was on the inner circle of this, and convinced him to cooperate with us. And he eventually walked me into the Cayman Islands as his cousin, which is the only way it would fly. And we started dealing with the heads of the cartel down in Cayman.
You had to be a little bit frightened at this point. I know you're a law enforcement officer and a tough guy, but it had to be a little scary.
Well, I got tremendous help from headquarters and from the Detroit office, and the bosses that were at the office then, and we knew what we were facing. It was the first time that I knew of that the FBI had sent an undercover agent offshore into a situation that we had no backup. The only at that time, Scotland Yard was in charge of the Cayman Islands, and there was a Scotland Yard agent in London that was advised that he was given a 3-month window that we would go in there to operate, because we knew the whole island was penetrated by this cartel. They had a lot of police officers working for them. They had a lot of customs agents, and they had ears all over the island. And we were aware of this because we were dealing with one of their top security guys that had agreed to cooperate. And so we knew what we were facing, and the only way to get help was to go to a Scotland Yard agent on the island and tell him to call London for instructions, which would have been kind of far fetched by then.
And in the final minute here, how did it lead to Manuel Noriega?
Well, I continued in an undercover role on and off for over a year, in and out of the Caymans, and they began talking about the general. They've been talking about Pineapple Face, and finally we realized that it was Noriega. And in the end, when we arrested everybody, the top people in the organization, and there was over 300 indictments, 300 arrests, and 300 convictions in this case, the top people agreed to testify before the Kerry Commission, which gave the U.S. government what they needed to proceed with the invasion of Panama and make several other arrests down there. The group in Cayman began using Noriega to launder money and to get intel on where our cutters were, where the AWACS were operating, and assisted them by flying plane loads of cash into Panama and depositing it in Panamanian banks.
Well, there's a fascinating 9-part podcast that is coming out on July the 13th called Deep Cover. And if you want to read more about this, there's a great article in Rolling Stone right now talking about Ned Timmons from Detroit and this entire case and the podcast Deep Cover. Ned, thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. Looking forward to the podcast.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good day.
All right, you bet. Now we want to check in with Jeff Sloan, founder and CEO of Startup Nation, spotlight entrepreneurial tech and startup community here on WJR.
You know, entrepreneurs are wily and individual by nature, but now more than ever, they need to be in communication with their team and they need to show great leadership skills. Now, leadership's always important, certainly at a fundamental level. An effective leader of a small company sets the vision, gets buy-in for her or his team, manages and tracks the execution. But in times like these, when teams are working remotely, more is required. Here's some issues I'll highlight, and I'll provide a few tips along the way as well. Don't let your team get lost. Remember to remind them of the company vision, where you're going and why. Make sure your team doesn't lose sight of the vision. Track and highlight progress. Make sure your team knows where you are. Let them know the achievements you're making, the progress you're making toward the execution of the vision, so everyone can know that we're making progress. Pay careful attention to ensuring that the company culture stays intact. You know, this is really, really important. When teams are working together in a common office, they get to know one another. They interact. They share a cup of coffee. There's a culture that organically happens, and that gets lost when people are on their own. So keep the company culture intact. Take time on your weekly calls to talk. Be human. Share some stories. Let everyone know how you're doing and ask how they're doing. And recognize achievements of individuals. It's really important to recognize what team members are achieving. Lastly, make sure you make personal contact with individuals that you sense are struggling. We're all dealing with the difficulty of this. We're all dealing with it. The isolation, the stress, the feelings that come with being alone and working remotely can be really difficult on people. Make sure you reach out to people that you sense are struggling. Your team needs your great leadership now more than ever. Let's make it happen. I'm Jeff Sloan, founder and CEO of StartupNation.com, and that's today's Business Beat on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR.
This report is sponsored by Everstream, the business-only fiber network.
At Everstream, the business-only fiber network, we believe business deserves better. Everstream's full-service approach to business connectivity delivers the speed and reliability that businesses demand. Everstream, faster fiber, better business.
Kevin, looking at a disabled vehicle reported in Lincoln Park, 75 northbound at Ford Street. It is blocking the left lane. Also traveling northbound, seeing stop and go traffic reported in Monroe, 75 northbound, stop and go between La Pleasance Road and Front Street. And then seeing a delay southbound 75 between Rochester Road down to 14 Mile. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Michael Perna and the Perna Team Realtors. Worried if this is the right time to sell your home? It's time to call Michael Perna. Michael Perna with Keller Williams Realty guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to. at 844-737-6276 or visit thepernateam.com and start packing.
Pretty tranquil here. You can leave the umbrellas home. Looks like we're not going to see much rainfall. None mentioned over the next few days. Certainly it could change, but let's go with it. Clouds mixed with some clear sky this morning and partial clouds this afternoon. Got a pair 8s, 88 degrees. Tonight, 66 and clear. Sunshine tomorrow, looky there, another pair, 88. Sunshine on Thursday, 91. Then Friday, Saturday's the 4th. Low 90s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Our Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
What if you knew applying proper Social Security claiming strategies with a proper tax strategy may add more?
Let me get this straight, Kevin.
All right.
So Ned Timmons was an FBI agent in Detroit investigating activities surrounding motorcycle gangs, and it led him to the Cayman Islands, and he eventually was led right to Noriega in his drug cartel activities.
Exactly. Over about a 6-year period.
Seriously?
Yeah. And so he is the main figure in this podcast. And this isn't like just a podcast. This is one of the largest podcast companies in the nation. This thing will be a bestseller, #1, chart deal. This is a real deal.
So wait, Ned is the main character in it?
Yeah, because it was crazy because he was just busting bikers in Detroit from these biker gangs, and the guys said, no, we have more information, and so they let Ned hang in there and keep developing, and Ned was blown up twice overseas while investigating drug cartels, and his story's fascinating. I can't wait to see how they do it. It's a 9-part podcast. That means it's either, I don't know if they're half-hour shows or hour shows, but there's going to be hours of how this all plays out. And it led to the invasion of Panama, and it was the biggest invasion since Vietnam. I mean, and then all started
more like a movie, like a made-for-TV movie.
It probably will be eventually.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
A couple of reports coming out of Washington. Top officials at the White House were aware in early 2019 of classified intelligence indicating Russia was secretly offering bounties to the Taliban for the deaths of Americans a full year earlier than previously reported. And a new report from CNN alleges President Trump was consistently unprepared for discussions with foreign leaders and was outplayed in conversations with powerful leaders like Russia's Vladimir Putin. Joining us on the line to talk about these developments is our friend Bob Costantini. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Yeah, Kevin, good morning to you. The White House actually issued a statement overnight in the early morning hours talking about this whole national security issue in terms of the Russia and bounty for bounty payments or whatever, offer of bounties for Taliban fighters who would kill Americans. And the latest statement is here. Over the past several days, the New York Times and other news outlets have reported on allegations regarding our troops in Afghanistan. Because the allegations in recent press articles have not been verified or substantiated by the intelligence community, President Trump had not been briefed on the items. Nevertheless, the administration, including the National Security Council staff, have been preparing should the situation warrant action. That's just a little part of the statement issued overnight. I have about 3 o'clock in the morning, as a matter of fact, from National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. So basically what they continue to say is that the president was not briefed and apparently still has not been briefed about this, according to yesterday's press briefing by Kayleigh McEnany. Still has not been briefed because this information has not been verified or substantiated, has not been deemed credible enough to let the president know about it. If it was in some sort of raw intelligence data and the printed briefing material, it might have been. The White House doesn't or insists that it wasn't. However, there may have been. The president is presented each day with paperwork that amounts to raw data information. And if no one pointed it out to him, perhaps that's the way this may play out from the White House point of view.
I guess the question is, should they have briefed him? Was there enough there? I realize the White House is saying that there wasn't enough there, but what are other people saying?
Well, of course, up on Capitol Hill, Kevin, the Democrats and even some Republicans are questioning why such an important matter in terms of Russia, and knowing, of course, the president's treatment of Russia is. He's been accused of being deferential to Vladimir Putin by Democrats especially, but knowing the president's attitudes towards Russia, the question from Capitol Hill continues to be, well, if he wasn't briefed and if this wasn't all that verifiable, shouldn't somebody have mentioned it to him? Should somebody have waved their arms in front of him, to get his attention for this kind of thing? And the answer just keeps coming back from the White House that this just wasn't strong enough that the president needed to know about it. And let's be real, Kevin. The president is not known as someone who is a big reader of material, and so I keep hearing that he still isn't using a computer. And a lot of times, this material nowadays is being presented. In terms of the written raw intelligence reports, a lot of that is being presented in tablet form to a president. This was a carryover, I guess, from the Obama administration. So whether the president should have known, I think, is going to be the major question continuing as we move forward. Yesterday, some Republicans on relevant committees were briefed here at the White House. Today, some Democrats in the committees will be briefed. Of course, this hits not only intelligence, but armed services committee members. Democrats will be here, apparently here at the White House later on today with this. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, keeps demanding an all-members briefing by the administration. So the intelligence officials in the administration, including the National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien, they're trying to figure out how to handle this and keep with the idea that it just wasn't that important enough to tell the president or to call the president's attention to it.
Is this ripple effect from John Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened? Is that where this is coming from?
Well, obviously, let's be real. Bolton's trying to sell books, and his book does not paint a good picture of a president who's into a lot of details. And he was on Sunday, I believe, on CNN State of the Union, suggesting that he's not surprised if the president was told about this, but just wasn't paying attention to it. So that's his point of view. But again, the book itself and other books, truthfully, have shown the president, have revealed the president who just isn't, who at times is not paying attention, and it gets bored easily, from what we understand. And if this was presented to him, or if someone pointed this out, of course, that's not the way the White House is indicating, and I suppose they're not likely to admit to something like that at this point.
So is that similar then, the report out of CNN saying that President Trump is unprepared for discussions with foreign leaders? Is that more of his, being bored easily or not paying close enough attention?
Well, this is a CNN report, so take that for what it's worth. Obviously, this is a conglomeration of, I guess, a lot of interviews and people who have been able to talk, been willing to talk to CNN. And this was something that Carl Bernstein of Watergate fame put together for CNN, and it basically suggests that the president was just not well prepared and thought, as we've known sometimes, he is want to say, he believes that he can bend people to his will just with his words and his charm and things like that. And that is how he has been conducting a lot of foreign policy, according to this Carl Bernstein article in CNN, and that he was not prepared. And the suggestion is that the president was easily played by other leaders, especially in various phone calls that he has. And the president always makes a lot of phone calls with other world leaders, gets phone calls from other world leaders. And this is one of the reasons why, according to the article, that so many of the national security team grew frustrated with him, including Bolton, but also the original Defense Secretary James Mattis and Rex Tillerson, who was the first Secretary of State, and then John Kelly, who was a general and tried to bring some discipline to the president and to the White House, became very frustrated with this. That's why some of them left or were fired, or however you want to look at it, Kevin.
All right. Well, after the break, we're going to have John Bolton on, so we'll ask him about some of this. Bob, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the update. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right, Kevin. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Let's check in with traffic and weather and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by the Michigan Health and Hospital Association. If you have Michigan Auto Insurance, big changes are coming to your medical coverage as of July 1st. Learn how to stay safe with full protection at driveprotected.org. Funded by the Michigan Health and Hospital Association.
That disabled vehicle already clear, Kevin, in Lincoln Park, 75 northbound at 4th Street. Seeing stop and go traffic because of construction along 75 southbound at 14 Mile. The right lane is closed. Seeing delays there from at least Rochester Road. That project is wrapping up today at 3 p.m. Also a delay northbound 75 between La Pleasance and Front Street. That's in Monroe. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain, joint swelling, tendonitis, neuropathy, and chronic pain? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce or eliminate the pain completely. Reserve your appointment today at the state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatment center. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com. Another day for the sunglasses, getting plenty of action. No rain in the forecast. We get the same forecast today and Wednesday, actually. Lots and lots of sunshine. It's going to remain dry, a high of 88 tonight, clear 66. A redo on hump day, sunshine 88. On Thursday, up to 91. Sunshine, 66 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 1 minute.
If we're all going to be stuck in our house anyway, let's get some of those DIY projects done around the house.
The Inside Outside guys and their many team partners are here for you during these uncertain times when we are all stuck in our homes.
If you need emergency help or simply some home improvement advice, talk directly to the guys at 888-654-GUYS or 24/7 at theinsideoutsideguys.com.
The Inside Outside guys have built a team to be here for you 24/7.
Kev.
Hey, Ann.
Just
that was perfect. Bob was perfect setup there.
Yeah.
Oh, you froze.
Hi. I'm back.
You're back.
Just one quick thing. Did you see that we have John Bolton from 7:35 to 7:45?
No, I did not see that.
Okay, let me just check something real quick here. They sounded kind of strict about it, but that should be good.
Yeah. Well, our out was 42 anyway, right?
Right, but I bet Brian would let you cheat a little bit on this. Just a smidge. But yes, I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay. So it's a hard out at 7:45.
I believe so, yes. I'm rechecking just to be sure.
We'll shorten Bouchard. That's no problem.
Although it's going to be interesting to see what Mike says about dream cruising and how he's going to handle that. Because he's probably not going to be tough, right?
I don't think so.
Okay,
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
You can just on private chat. You can just tell me if you
Yeah, if I see anything different,
or if they're mad. Who do they text you, Annie? If they're mad, if you go along.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yes, they certainly do, Kevin. I asked if he'd like to do StreamYard, but he prefers phone.
It's easier to hang up.
Yes, it's 7:45. It's the hard out. Yes. It's funny. One time, Paul was doing an interview with Bill Clinton, and Clinton's people, gave me a certain amount of time, right?
Right.
So they're talking, and I'm kind of saying, okay, they're saying it's time to go. And so then Paul was trying to follow the guidelines, and Paul kept saying to the president, okay, they're saying we have to go. And Bill Clinton was kind of like, I don't care what they say. I'm enjoying my conversation with you. I'm
That's
like,
perfect.
okay,
There's a
game
promo.
over. I give.
There's a promo. We're
They
not
talked forever.
we're not going to that commercial.
I got to find that conversation. It was really good.
That
Yeah.
is funny.
Isn't that funny? So
Yeah.
yes, the backstage producer stuff is a lot different than what you guys have to deal with.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
All right. Have a nice interview.
All right.
To take effect, but they will take effect.
Michigan reports 236 new cases of the COVID-19 and 4 new deaths. Nations of the European Union say they don't want Americans to visit Europe this summer and fall. They say they fear too many Americans have coronavirus. But tourists from China, they say, are okay. There's a coin shortage. Meyer says it will not give back coins at the self-serve checkouts because they don't have enough coins. The Federal Reserve is working with the Mint to produce more coins and lift supply constraints. The World Market Update sponsored by Mother Waddles. Donate your car to Mother Waddles. Help the poorest of the poor. Call 313-WADDLES. Most overseas markets are up. Dow futures are down slightly. I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News. More coming up with Kevin Dietz.
In these difficult times, we're all doing more to look out for each other. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and Blue Care Network is covering all necessary COVID-19 testing and treatments for all members in fully insured health plans at no cost, so members can focus on getting the care they need and getting better. To ensure they can get help without leaving home, Blue Cross is covering all virtual doctor's visits and providing access to a 24-hour nurse line at no cost to answer member questions and concerns. And Blue Cross is increasing access to prescriptions and offering early refills so members can always have a safe supply on hand. Now, more than ever, Michigan can count on Blue Cross to be there every step of the way, just as we have been for 81 years. To learn more, visit bcbsm.com/coronavirus.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
It is the book the whole country is talking about, The Room Where It Happened. The author, former National Security Advisor, John Bolton. John Bolton joins us live now on the Paul W. Smith Show. John, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here, too. So the president says you're a traitor who shared classified information to make money. Is he wrong?
Yes, he is, as on many other things as well. Look, I've spent a good part of my professional career serving in positions in conservative Republican administrations, and I've worked very hard over a lot of opposition from liberals and Democrats to do just that. What I found in the administration, and others have come to the same conclusion, unfortunately, is that we've got a president who really is not grounded in conservative philosophy. And he's certainly done some things that I've agreed with, getting out of the Iran nuclear deal, getting out of the INF treaty. No question about that. But what he's pursuing is not what I think is the right strategy for the United States to maintain our security, and certainly not one consistent with where the vast majority of Republicans are. So, well, the fact is that in all current administrations, people write books. Sarah Sanders has written a book. Sean Spicer wrote a book. Matt Whitaker wrote a book all about the Trump administration. In the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton wrote a book. Defense Secretary Bob Gates wrote a book. If you go back to George Washington's administration, Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton were taking shots at each other when they served in the cabinet through newspapers funded in part by the federal government. And somehow George Washington managed to muddle through on it. I think it's important for the American people to know what's going on. In fact, I wrote a book review of Bob Gates's book in 2014, defending Gates against the criticism that he had written this book at an inconvenient time for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in 2016. It's always inconvenient for people when they're being criticized, and if it's not good enough to debate the nature of a president during a presidential election campaign, then honestly, I don't know what the right time is.
So the timing is specific because you feel that the American people need to know this before they go and vote in November.
Well, I've also written it for history. I think it's very important that when you've had the privilege to serve in the government, that you leave a record of what actually happens. Most people don't get a chance to see how these decisions are made, and I'm sure when they hear about it, a lot of them will be very disturbed at the way these things go, what the considerations are. But I do think it's important. The president's supporters will make their case for him, and I just think it's conservatives especially need to know what they're voting for when the president no longer needs conservatives to get reelected. If you look at the number of national security decisions that he made in his first term, really because of the possibility of a revolt by conservatives in Congress, once he doesn't have to rely on the electorate anymore, what could he be doing in a second term? That's something to take into account.
How would you characterize what you were feeling when you were in the room? Were you disturbed by what you were hearing? Were you deeply concerned? How would you characterize it?
Well, I've been privileged to serve in a number of administrations, and one thing you learn is that you're there to give advice. You're not making the ultimate decisions, and you're gonna see a lot of decisions made that you don't agree with. That just goes with the territory. It's part of you get the privilege of giving your advice. Your superior gets the privilege of making the decision. So I didn't come to conclusions all of a sudden. I didn't buy what many of Trump's critics were saying before I went in, that he was completely hopeless and it was any moral person would refuse to serve in the administration. I didn't buy that. I didn't think it could be that bad. I did think I could make a contribution, and I certainly tried. And as I've said, I think there were some successes on the president's part, getting out of the Iran deal. I think when he walked away from Kim Jong-un in Hanoi during that summit, refusing to take the kind of deal that the North Koreans have sold to other administrations and wanted to sell to this one, I thought that was all to the good. I try and put that in the book so that people can see the good with the bad.
A lot of the stories seem to indicate that you believe that President Trump was making decisions solely based on getting reelected. Is that accurate?
Well, I think any president makes decisions taking politics into account. I think that's part of the job, and nobody can complain about that, whether it's on national security or domestic affairs. The difference is that I don't think Trump is grounded in a conservative philosophy. I don't think he's grounded in a liberal philosophy either. I don't think he's grounded in much of anything other than how to advance the interests of Donald Trump. And I do find that troubling. I make no bones about it. I lay out what I think the evidence is. And again, I'm willing to trust people's judgments. I know some people will disagree with me. Some people may agree in part and disagree in part, but I just think they need to know the full picture.
Do you believe Donald Trump should have been removed from office, or do you believe he should be voted out of office, or neither?
Well, look, this is I go into the Ukraine thing in the next to the last chapter of the book and describe what happened there. I think the most legitimate way for presidencies to change is through the ballot box. I think that's what the framers of the Constitution intended. That's what we're coming up on in just 4 months here. And that's why I think there should be a debate about the nature of the presidency. I have to tell you, I'm very unhappy as a lifelong conservative that I don't see a real conservative on the ballot in November. What I'm going to do, I'm certainly not going to vote for Joe Biden, but I cannot, in good conscience, vote for Donald Trump. So politically, what I'm going to focus on is keeping the Republican Senate in Republican hands. I'd love to see a Republican House too. I think that's a much harder hill to climb. So I'm going to be working most on the Senate. whether Trump wins or loses, we need that majority in the Senate, and if we can expand it, then I think we've got some great candidates in some states that are currently held by Democrats. I think we need to try and do that.
You had these concerns. Why not speak up earlier? Speak up at the time. Why not testify in the impeachment hearings?
Well, I thought the Democrats committed impeachment malpractice the way they handled things. We've had 3 impeachment efforts in the last half century, and only one of them was done on a bipartisan basis in the Watergate crisis, when Democrat Sam Ervin and Republican Howard Baker did a lot of the initial groundwork in finding out what had happened. And I think people should remember, the first Republican in the Senate to speak up to call for Richard Nixon to resign was actually not a Republican. It was Jim Buckley, the Conservative Party candidate from New York, elected on the conservative line in 1970. And ultimately, it was a group of Republican senators who went to Nixon and said, your support in the Senate's eroding, you got to resign. And Hugh Scott was the Republican leader, but the main Republican who told that to Richard Nixon was Barry Goldwater. That's the way, if you're serious about impeachment, to proceed. The Democrats did 180 degrees the opposite of what happened in Watergate. They pushed Republicans in the House aside. They made it into a partisan contest. They essentially guaranteed it would be a partisan contest in the Senate. And I think whether I testified or not, I think it all would have been lost in the turmoil and ultimately would not have made any difference.
Do you think this book will help or hurt how you're remembered in history?
Look, I've devoted a lot of time over the years since I was 15 and first handed out leaflets for Barry Goldwater in 1964. I've been devoted to the philosophy of liberty that I think Goldwater and Reagan represented. If people remember me that way and get that part right, then I think the rest of it will take care of itself.
The book is called The Room Where It Happened. The author, former National Security Advisor John Bolton. John, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show this morning.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the chance.
All right. Thanks so much. Let's check in with traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19, but for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
No accidents right now, Kevin. A slight delay along 75 northbound between La Pleasance and Front Street. That's in Monroe. Southbound 75 at 14 Mile in the Troy area. Construction has the right lane closed. Seeing some brake lights from at least Rochester Road. That project wrapping up today at 3 p.m. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Wallstrom Marine. Head north with Wallstrom Marine, Northern Michigan's largest boat dealer and full-service marina. Visit their new and improved Traverse City location this 4th of July to check out their luxury lines and newly added brands, or get a free market evaluation on your current boat. Visit one of their 5 showroom locations or wallstrom.com.
Don't see much changing with the storm track to the west and southwest of us. Storms have been diving around us. A few clouds to mostly cloudy to partly cloudy as we head through the next few days. So kind of mixing it up. Some clouds mixing with sunshine this morning and partial clouds with sun later. 88 tonight, mainly clear. Pretty comfortable for this time of year. 66, suburbs might be a tad cooler. Sunny tomorrow, 88. Plenty of sunshine, probably for the rest of the week into the weekend. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stitchik on News Talk 760 WJR.
So the springtime is usually my time to get summer ready. Work out behind the scenes so that I'm ready.
It was a good interview, Kev. So it's interesting to watch the listener reaction this morning, the viewer reaction to it, because some people obviously have a huge problem with John Bolton and they did not want to listen to the interview and they wanted to leave. Other people had a little bit more of an open mind with regard to it, and they listened and thought that what he had to say was interesting. Of course, I'm from the school of, I like to hear what everybody has to say and decide for myself. What did you think?
I was surprised that he spent at least half the time complimenting the president.
Yes.
I don't want to say he was backpedaling necessarily, but he was definitely trying to say, look, I'm just, this is what I saw, and I wrote about it, and I wrote about the good things and the bad things. And if people are talking about the bad things, well, maybe that's not my fault, And then he said, look, he didn't say, he said, I'm absolutely not voting for Joe Biden. I just don't feel President Trump is conservative enough. He didn't. I mean, just listening to that, and I'll re-listen to it again because when you're in it, it's hard.
It's harder, right?
But I don't think he made a strong case for his own book. It's not like he was apologizing, but he was not adamant about his stances. He was saying, well, there's some things I like about him. And then when we talked about, the first reports where everything he's doing is just to get reelected. And then today he's like, well, every politician's trying to get reelected. So I understand why people are making decisions to try and get reelected, So I thought it was interesting. I think he probably reads a lot of the comments too, and he sees a lot of the backlash. And that's why I asked him, how do you want to be remembered? Because I don't know how fair of a telling this book is. I'm not all the way through it, but I thought it was I was glad he came on, and I was a little surprised. I thought he might be a little more aggressive.
Make no mistake about it, he's not a liberal. I mean,
No,
very conservative guy.
He said he wants Republicans to win up and down. Everything, except he's not going to vote for Trump. He didn't even say that he does. He didn't even say he doesn't want Trump to win. He said he can't vote for him.
Yeah.
But he's not going to vote for Biden. So
if not Biden and if not Trump, who is he going to vote for? I wonder.
He's going to have to sit that part out. So which I haven't heard him say before. I mean, I haven't seen all his interviews, but I haven't seen that.
It's pretty.
I haven't seen him say that he wasn't going to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
For more details, call 313-873-9810.
Mike's there.
313-873-9810.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
It started as a small group of people who wanted to pretty much show off their cars and turned into a massive million person festival celebrating automobiles. The Woodward Dream Cruise has just been a fabulous part of Metro Detroit's tradition in the past decade. But this year, it's going to be canceled. The word came out officially. Many people expected that it would be canceled, and now it has become official, although it's problematic because how do you cancel a cruise? How do you tell people they can't come and drive up and down Woodward Avenue? And how do you tell people they can't put a lawn chair out on Woodward Avenue and watch the traffic drive by? It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. And joining us on the line to share his memories of some wonderful dream cruises past and what might happen here this year is Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard. Mike, thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Sure. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's kind of sad to see it official that the Dream Cruise has been canceled for this year, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were thinking that this might be one opportunity to have a little bit of kind of normal fun with obviously social distancing and all that other stuff in place. But since it's outdoors and it's spread across, 13, 14 miles, that's what some folks had thought. But, I get the concern from the cruise committee, but, the reality is what you just said. It's a public highway that we cannot close. We can't even close it during the Dream Cruise because it's a public highway. That's why we try to, encourage people to stay in the two curb lanes if they have classic cars, and if they don't, but we only encourage. It's a public highway, so you can't restrict movement on it. So that's still going to be in place. And obviously, people can get out and drive in their cars, and people can come out and sit in a lawn chair. So, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think officially it's canceled, but I think you're going to have a ton of people showing up if it's good weather. And so, I sent a memo to our folks. I said, we need to plan personnel, and we need to plan, the ability to keep things safe like we would on a normal cruise, even though it's canceled.
Yeah, it was scheduled for August 15th officially. It seems like it's a month-long celebration anyway. I've already seen some cars out there getting ready for it, I suppose. But you think about some of these outdoor activities, like, going golfing or whatnot, or being at the park, or even going on the lake. And it seems that being outdoors, is a good thing if you can keep some distance. Maybe when this Dream Cruise first started, the amount of people who were there could safely keep at a distance. But the way it's been in the past 5, 6, maybe 10 years, I mean, there's been millions of people just packed in as tight as can possibly be. They obviously don't want that. What happens if the people come in those big numbers?
Well, obviously, if they come in those big numbers, we don't have the ability to send everybody home. In terms of if they're on the side of the road, obviously we would encourage the social distancing and the CDC practices. But it's going to be a challenge to make sure that the agencies all have enough personnel on duty, just in case, now that it's been quote unquote canceled. As I said, I still think if it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, the third Saturday in August, as it has been for many, 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 many years, that you're going to have people show up.
Yeah, I think I think you're right about that. Sheriff, I wanted to ask you about the governor's police reform plan. Did you get a chance to look at that? I was wondering what your initial thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I looked at it, some of it last night in the newspaper, but I haven't seen the detailed plan. And as you know, the devil's always in the details, the actual verbiage. So, how some of this plays out. And one of the frustrating things for me is everybody in Lansing and Washington is talking about how to reform police, and no one's talking about putting any dollars or effort behind that. I've said for years, and had written a white paper on this, that there's some very good reforms that could and should be done. And a part of that includes screening people out that shouldn't be in our profession, better background checks and tools to do that, which the law doesn't allow at the current moment. And so nobody's talked about that, which I think is really important. Keep out people that shouldn't be in the profession from the beginning. And then secondly, once you get someone in, make sure they get the best state-of-the-art, cutting-edge training that includes all the kinds of things, de-escalation, etc. But right now, a whopping $142 comes from the state of Michigan for training for a whole year for one of my deputies. We expect it's going to be cut pretty dramatically next year. And yesterday, the same day that the governor announced all these new mandated trainings, they reached a deal in the legislature and in Lansing to cut revenue sharing by almost $100 million. So, again, where is the money to do the training, to do the things that are necessary to get better outcomes? There's a path to get there, but everybody seems to ignore part of the path is the better training facilities. And that's how you get better police outcomes, in addition to some of these other things, but they never put any of the funding behind it. And finally, as you know, the Headley Amendment in the Constitution says you cannot mandate things without fully paying for them to a local government. So, how can you mandate things without putting the money in the budget for it when you're simultaneously cutting the budget to the communities that you're going to mandate these things to? So, as I said, if there's things that can and should be done, I'm supportive of it, have been for years before this became a topic of discussion, but they have to, do all the steps. And we need to see that in Washington and Lansing, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, in New York, they're under pressure for defunding the police. They're going to cut $1 billion from a $6 billion budget and use some of that money for programs for youth and for other things, which is fine and necessary to fund other programs. But to take money away from the police who need more training, not less, it's going to be very dicey moving forward.
Spot on. Every agency that I've ever talked to, worked with, and as you know, I'm head of government affairs for Major County Sheriffs of America, so I'm kind of the point person on a lot of this in Washington, has a shortage of resources. I 100% agree. And we've been pushing for years to have more of those things: mental health services, social workers, EDP assistants, all those kinds of things should be out there, and we should fund those. Our mental health community is struggling with a huge load and not enough resources. But that doesn't mean you cut the police in order to reallocate those resources. It means you do both, and hopefully you have better outcomes in both situations. People that are in crisis or need help get it, and when police have a situation that they have to deal with and address, they do it in a professional, well-trained, de-escalating manner. And they're not mutually exclusive by any event.
All right. Thank you very much, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard. We'll probably see you out there at the canceled Woodward Dream Cruise. Thanks for joining us.
I'll be there.
Thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you.
Let's check in with traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is brought to you by Stand Up to Cancer.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lungcancer to learn more.
Accident reported in Sterling Heights. It is partially blocking the intersection along 14 Mile at Shaner. Once again, Sterling Heights accident, 14 Mile in Shaner. Seeing delays along 696 westbound between DeQuinder and 75. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Guernsey Farms Dairy. Celebrate 80 years with Guernsey this summer at your local grocer. From their award-winning milk, ice cream, and lemonade, they are a true Michigan summer tradition. Guernsey is excited to announce their newly remodeled restaurant in Northville. Now open Wednesday through Sunday. For more info, visit GuernseyFarmsDairy.com. That's GuernseyFarmsDairy.com. Definitely don't need your umbrella. Looks like for the entire week, the sunglass is getting all the action once again today. It's going to be hot over the next couple of days. 88, pair of 88s both days, Tuesday and Wednesday, under lots of sunshine. The low, the same as well. Your overnight low each night down to 66. For Thursday, we break 91 with lots of sunshine, 66 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 1 minute.
It's Ken and Chuck, the inside-outside guys, here to talk about CertaPro painters.
That's right, Ken. The state is reopening and CertaPro Painters is ready to get back to work.
Rest assured, CertaPro Painters knows how important your home is to you. They're taking precautions recommended by public health officials to help keep you and the painting team safe.
Very cool stuff, too, like free remote estimates for painting the outside or inside of your home. It's quick, safe, and easy.
And CertaPro Painters does a great job.
That was a good interview with the sheriff.
Yeah, thanks for the assist there. That was good.
I had done an interview with him for Women Who Lead with regard to this police funding issue.
Yeah.
And he has written a really interesting paper about police training and funding. And he's showing that there just isn't enough money for the right amount of training. And at the end of the day, he's really a big proponent of getting more training for police officers before they have to go out and deal with the difficult issues that they have to face. And he's spot on. He's absolutely right. You cannot cut the funding for the training. They need more training, not less.
Right. And they definitely need to do a more thorough job on the front end of who they hire. And once you hire someone, it's like, it's really hard to fire people. They're in unions and they're protected. And so what becomes easier to do is to let them resign than fire them. So they'll resign, but they get to keep their certification to be a police officer. So they leave the department where they were having problems and they go to another police department. So they just take their problems to a different place. And when police try and do a background check to find out, they can't even find out that these officers had a problem previously.
That's what he thinks too.
Yeah, it's and when we look at these cases, especially with police officers using excessive force, almost all of them have been bounced from department to department, and very few of them have a record other than several of them have been sued civilly. So you actually have to go look at like civil to see if they've been sued. And I mean, imagine, to get to the point where you've been sued by citizens, you're clearly, have some issues, and definitely need training. So to cut all that out is pretty wild. When they talk about defunding the police, I think they maybe mean reprioritize how the money's spent, or I hope they do. I hope they don't want to just take money away, because they need to get better.
Right. It's a complicated issue. It's not something you can just decide, on a whim. Okay, we're going to do this. I mean, there should be a lot of conversations about how we can help the police, not hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an issue that needs to stay in the forefront. We were talking about, is it time to end the protest? I don't think you end the protest till we address this issue and actually handle it. Like whatever that solution is going to be, we stay with this until we get a solution, because that problem isn't going to go away just by letting some time go by. It's just going to resurface again. So you actually have to get to the core of the problem, figure it out, and change the way we do things. We've been policing the same way for 100 years. There's got to be a better way to do it. And part of that's going to be figuring out what the better way is, and then training everybody to do that. They're gonna need money for that. It's not going to be cheap.
No, you're exactly right. So at 8:18,
yes,
Charlie Kraft is calling, right?
Yes. I don't know if they're coming on.
Are they coming? Is Bo coming on?
Yeah, they're both coming on.
Charlie?
Yeah, I don't know if they're coming on the video on the StreamYard or calling in, but
okay.
But they're contacting us. They have both the link and the phone number.
Okay, great. All right, and then our 8:05 guest will be on the phone.
Great.
And then StreamYard for 8:35.
Great, she's great. Marilyn Kelly's awesome. So I'm excited about this.
Looking forward to getting that side of the
Me
story.
too. Yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of media coverage eventually on these issues.
Yes, definitely.
So, good.
Okay. All right.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Talk in a bit.
And our comments in the media to relate them just to George Floyd and that he deserves justice.
What's in your wallet? Any coins? There's a coin shortage. For example, Myers says it will not give back coins at the self-service checkouts because they don't have enough coins. The coronavirus and hoarding of coins is blamed. Also, the banks not being open, not giving people a chance to come in and cash in their coins for paper money. NASA and other space agencies have been working on plans to deal with asteroids that are headed for Earth. Now, there's a plan to send a spacecraft to smash into the moon of a small asteroid to change the motion of that asteroid. The World Market Update sponsored by Mother Waddles. Donate your car to Mother Waddles and help the poorest of the poor. Call 313-WADDLES. Asian markets are up, London is flat, and the Dow futures are nearly unchanged from the close. I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News. More coming up with Kevin Dietz.
Interested in advertising your business on WJR? Send an email to advertising@wjr.com. With nearly 10 million people residing within the reach of our signal, WJR gets results. Email us today, advertising@wjr.com.
Treetops Resort. Palmer and Nicholas have graced their fairways. Mickelson has saved some pars here, and Trevino hit the shot heard round the world. It's time for you to add your name to the list of greats who have enjoyed spectacular golf at Treetops. Book your package today and make the easy drive to Treetops Resort. Championship packages start as low as $334 per person. Visit treetops.com. That's treetops.com.
Have you been told you need spine surgery or just sick of living in pain? The Disc Institute has a proven, painless alternative. If your neck, back, or sciatic pain is due to a herniated, degenerative, or bulging disc, then you actually have two problems. One, your pain, and two, your bad disc. Drugs, therapies, epidurals, and new pain lasers are designed to only treat your pain, but they're not designed to treat your disc problem. And this is crucial because your bad disc is what's causing your pain in the first place. Without addressing your disc problem, your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, proven solution to solve both of your problems, your pain and the bad disc that's causing it, with our high-tech, non-invasive treatments. This is what can stop your pain without surgery. Call me at the Disc Institute at 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472. We'll even review your MRI for no charge. Call 586-416-DISC. Reclaim your life.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning on this Monday, June 30th, 2020, the final day of June. You're listening to the Paul W. Smith Show. Thanks for stopping by. If you were listening yesterday, we had Wayne State trustee Sandra O'Brien on the show, and we suggested there may be some bad blood between President Roy Wilson and some of the board of trustees at Wayne State University. O'Brien pointed to published reports that the university put out suggesting they indicated Wayne State is on a negative trend when it comes to enrolling African-American students at the university. We suggested Dr. Wilson come on to refute the claim. He is not here this morning, but trustee Marilyn Kelly is. And she says O'Brien's op-ed in Deadline Detroit and her interview with us yesterday is misleading and perhaps even dirty politics. Joining us now is Marilyn Kelly, trustee at Wayne State University. Thanks for being with us, Marilyn.
Thank you, Kevin. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, so thank you for calling in yesterday and saying that you wanted to come on. Why don't you tell us what upset you so much about what you heard yesterday?
Well, as you pointed out, and as you heard yesterday, some members of our board are critical of the president. But it's important that people realize that these are not the majority of the members of the board. And many of us believe that Roy Wilson's doing a great job as president of that university. This man is showing real leadership. He's highly respected in the community. And as a Black person, he's sensitive to the needs of Detroiters for higher education. And I can say, too, that the work that's being done at the university naturally brings out differing opinions from different board members. But it's important to know that the board has been working together with the president in recent months. I can give you some examples of that, Kevin. We were unanimous in voting to freeze tuition for students in the coming school year. And we were unanimous in agreeing on the development of a new sports arena with the Detroit Pistons. And as recently as just, 11 days ago, on June 19, we unanimously recognized and celebrated our unsung heroes at the university. These were 4 people, 2 students, 1 faculty member, and 1 staff member who volunteered to help those in need of those suffering from the pandemic in Detroit. These were 4 out of 120 people who were nominated for an award that the board unanimously agreed to give to them. So it's not all bad stuff.
No, and that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, and that's awesome. But Trustee O'Brien was talking about specifically the enrollment of African American students at Wayne State and what a challenge that is, and that it's on a decline. Is it on a decline, and what are the challenges that the university and all universities are facing?
Oh, sure. Let me address that because it's an incredibly important question. As you noticed, the board member who spoke yesterday did admit that the decline in Black enrollment at Wayne has mostly been because of a change in admissions policy. Now, there was a policy, an open policy that took place by a board that people are no longer there on the board, and a president who's no longer president. And the decline in Black enrollment didn't happen because of mistakes Roy Wilson made or even the present board made. It happened because there was a lot of people coming in as students who simply weren't prepared and couldn't handle the university life. And as a result, they were flunking out or leaving, and they were leaving often with student debt. And that's simply unfair to them. So there had to be a change in the admissions policy, and it did happen, and Black student enrollment decreased as a result. But what's important is that today Black students are graduating at a higher rate from Wayne State than ever before. and that since President Wilson's arrival at Wayne, the 6-year graduation rate for all students has been improving faster than any large public university in the nation, and our 6-year graduation rate for African Americans has been tripling since 2011. And we're expecting even more progress in the next 2 years. So our successes, Wayne's successes in this area of Black enrollment, have been called a national model, and we should be celebrating them, not discrediting them.
Well, we should celebrate the wins, but we should also be working as best we can with everybody to continue to improve. I mean, this is an issue in an area that's crucial. Diversity at universities is so important. We want to make sure that we continue to move the needle forward and not fall backwards. The other issue Trustee O'Brien talked about was the lack of minority faculty at Wayne State University. What is the board and the president doing to try and address that?
What we're doing is we are training search committees specifically on how to broaden their candidate pools to be more inclusive of minority candidates. We're providing bias training. There's a terrific competition among universities to hire qualified Black and brown faculty applicants. This isn't just a Wayne issue or a Michigan issue, it's a national issue. But the take-home point here is that this year, 14.3% of our new faculty hires at Wayne were African Americans. Now, you say that's low, and it is low. It's far lower than we want, but it's way above the national average.
So what do we all do at every university? What can we all do to encourage more minority faculty hires or more people to go into the profession or something?
You're right. We should encourage more Black Americans to seek a profession of faculty as a faculty member, and we should reach in, and we are reaching. President Wilson is arranging to have the different departments at the university examine their own diversity, the level of diversity faculty, and if they find that it's low or non-existent, to particularly include in the groups of people who interview candidates more minority people on those committees, and also for the committees to reach out broaden their criteria when they search for applicants for faculty members.
All right. Congratulations on the work that you guys are doing at Wayne State, and let's keep working on these issues. Come back anytime you want. Trustee Marilyn Kelly, Wayne State University, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Let's check traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by Churches.
If every day feels like the last, get some flavor in it. Meet Church's new $5 Campfire Smokehouse Chicken. Crackling campfire flavor that's bold to the bone, plus mashed potatoes and a biscuit. Church's, bringing that down-home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
Accident is still in the way in Sterling Heights along 14 Mile at Shaner, partially blocking that intersection, and seeing construction delays along 75 southbound at 14 Mile in the Troy area. Construction has the right lane closed, a stop and go from at least Rochester Road, that project there until 3 p.m. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Starline Mackinac Island Ferry. Hightail it to Mackinac Island on a Starline hydrojet or catamaran ferry, and now a new pirate ship, the Good Fortune.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Starline offers the largest open-air boats disinfected before every trip, with fares starting at $19. Get discount tickets and vacation packages at MackinacFerry.com. That's MackinacFerry.com.
We'll continue to crank out the dry weather here over the next few days, getting hotter as we head toward the 4th. Clouds in this morning with some sunshine at times. Partial clouds this afternoon with a high of 88. Tonight, clear 66.
Patrick, more
and cooler. Sunday tomorrow, 88. Thursday,
more
Sunday,
training, less
91 and low 90s through the 4th.
Right
From
there.
the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stage on News Talk 760 WJR.
The fun.
On the next Caring for Kids with Larry Burns.
A lineup of guests who will be discussing.
Hey, Ann.
Update for you and our Facebookers.
Okay.
Chief Craig is going to join us at 8:48.
8:48.
Yes, so we won't be able to chat with Frank today.
Okay.
So we'll catch up with him probably tomorrow or Thursday, definitely. But yes, the chief just confirmed.
Okay.
He's got a lot going on in the morning, so that later time is better for him.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why the 8:48 Chief Craig.
Well, good. It'd be nice to have give him the opportunity to explain what their investigation is showing in real time.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So, and it kind of sounds like he wants to. So,
yeah, and he should. I mean, it's such a difficult situation, and you can have a clip of video, and people can read into it what they want, but until you know all the details that was going on from both sides, you don't know what happened, and so it'll be interesting to talk with the chief. Always is.
he's always willing to come on and talk. I mean, he's amazing. He'll answer anything. So I really,
you're talking about with Bouchard about training. I mean, here's these folks, and it sounded like the back window was broken with maybe a skateboard or something, and they thought maybe it was shots. And how important is your training for situations like that? I've been in some of their. You'll go in, and it's like a virtual test, where different situations come up, and you decide whether to use force or not use force or what to do. And it's unbelievable. Everything happens in a split second, and you got to make these decisions. And then now with all the video, the whole world gets to, look at your decision and judge what you did. Well, that's okay. But boy, you want to have as much training as possible so that you make the right decisions in a split second.
No, you're absolutely right. Chief Kraft is on the line, so
okay.
I'm heading backstage. I don't see your second guest, Jed.
Okay.
I just see Chief, but Brian will tell you.
All right.
Okay. Talk to you in a bit.
All right.
Tops.com.
Your metro parks have opened splash pads, beaches, campgrounds, farm centers, golf courses, boat rentals, and some pools. They're ready to welcome you this 4th of July weekend. Reduced capacities and additional precautions are in place to protect visitors and staff. Visit metroparks.com/COVID to learn more.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
While protesters have been marching in the streets across America and here in Metro Detroit for police reform, our next guests have been working on reforming police agencies for the past few years, and they say they've been making incredible progress. Joining us now is Charlie Kraft. You may remember he is the former chief of police in Troy, Michigan, and he joins us now to talk about what they've been doing at ARCS Alert as it comes to reforming police officers. Charlie, thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you for having me on, Kevin. And also, I've got online this morning some members of our team, Jay Harrison, Andy McKeever, and Bo Chang, that are here answer any technological questions that I might not be able to answer for you.
Great. Welcome, everyone. So tell me what you guys have been doing. So the fact that the whole world is talking about reform now probably doesn't surprise you. You've been working on this for some time now.
Yes. ARCS Alert, which is a product of Alta Vista Technology, several years ago worked with the city of Detroit to create their management awareness system. There was a recent article in the Detroit News that highlighted the capabilities of the MAS system and what they were able to accomplish in Detroit. And out of the creation of that system the company kind of grew into offering this product for agencies, not only large agencies, but smaller agencies. So that's where we got our start. And basically what we do is, police agencies have incredible amounts of data. Our problem is we can't manage the data. There's so much of it that we get lost in it, particularly as it applies to officer performance. So what our system does is we take a lot of different variables and we're able to analyze those and present those in a fashion that lets a police chief or an executive make both tactical and strategic decisions on how to manage their police agencies.
And have you seen an actual impact once you've examined the data and made recommendations? Did you see improvements in areas that were problems?
No, absolutely. And I would say that in working with the city of Detroit through a consent decree, within the first year of using the platform, we saw a 17.5% reduction on use of force. And as a matter of fact, a recent article came out a few weeks ago where Detroit police cited the system really in helping reduce what we're seeing in use of force within the department, almost like 57% for category 1 use of force. But also saving the city a lot of money. Lawsuits reduced by 50 to 60%, and really saved the city, dollars, in the millions, about 5.1 million in losses savings. So categorically, we can start looking at systems and technology and helping a very large department manage data, and their people and information. Really starts to produce some immediate results and obviously long-term positive effects for the department as well as the community.
How long does it take for a police organization from the time they start working with you and your programs to actual see changes and improvements on the street when it comes to use of force?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we see that departments of, different sizes will have, varying degrees of seeing immediate results. Obviously, when you're working with a very large department, with a lot of officers, some of those results will be a little more immediate, largely because we're helping departments manage compliance to policy. So I think a lot of this just starts off with making sure the culture is right, the policies are right. And if you look at Detroit, who underwent a police reform process, they instituted the right policies, they instituted the right culture within the department. And once you have a platform to start managing compliance against those policies, I would say the results are relatively immediate to make sure that there's compliance there.
When you hear,
Kevin,
go ahead, jump in, Charlie.
I would add there that many police agencies have great policy and great training. The problem comes in gaining compliance with policy and training, and that's just a result of the fact that we have officers in the field. We have a difficult time managing all the things that they do. And what we're able to do is we're able to bring that data to police executives. So it creates a system of accountability, and compliance is driven off of accountability. People that are accountable comply. And that's one of the key things that we're able to accomplish. And once that data becomes available and we start managing the results, I think are pretty evident pretty quickly.
Two things. We're hearing these calls for defunding the police. We heard just a few moments ago from Sheriff Bouchard, who said we need more money for more training so that we can do it right. And we have the governor who has some suggestions for new policy for reform. How does this all play into what you guys are trying to do?
Well, I reviewed those yesterday, and in addition to my role as the police chief in Troy for 11 years, I also was the director of a regional police academy, basic police training, for almost 7 years after I left Troy. And I think many of those things she suggested are going to require the ability, such as auditing police agencies, ensuring that there's mandatory in-service training for police officers. We have about 600 police departments in the state of Michigan, about 19,000 police officers. To manage that amount of information is going to require technology, and so certainly we can help along those lines. When I went through the governor's recommendations, I would say that many progressive police agencies around the state of Michigan that I'm familiar with, DPD being foremost, many of those things are in place already. But the system that is going to help them ensure compliance and accountability is not.
Okay, well, I want to thank you guys for popping on today, and I will get a hold of the information articles you had sent over, and we'll get those up on WJR.com so more people can learn about what you guys are doing. There's going to be a lot of conversation about this moving forward, obviously, and hopefully you guys can join us again as the conversation continues on necessary reforms.
Yeah, anytime, Kevin. We're really convinced that what we're doing is something that's really going to help law enforcement, and that's where our whole vision is to assist law enforcement and to enhance transparency to the public and improve police service. That's what our goal is, and we'd be happy to come on anytime you need us.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. Let's check traffic and weather with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Earlier accident out there in Sterling Heights is clear. 14 Mile at Shaner. That collision is gone. Still seeing a delay because of construction. 75 southbound at 14 Mile. The right lane is closed. A slow ride from at least Rochester Road. That will be out there until 3 p.m. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Expecting it to be lots of sunshine and warm once again over the next several days. By Thursday, we are looking at 91 degrees and Friday, 93. Definitely need to crank on the AC, drink plenty of water. And if you're outside, put on that sunscreen and dress in light clothing. Sunshine today, a high of 88 tonight. Clear skies down to 66. Sunshine, 66 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Hi, Frank Beckman here. I think most of you know I've had back problems for a long time. Over the last couple months, I've told you about a place I visited that helps fix the nagging pain. I called the Restore Wellness Center. Their goal is to restore function, reduce the pain, speed up healing, and that's just what they did. For the past 3 years, they've been able to help thousands of...
Kev?
Yeah.
I just emailed you some information for Amy, our next guest.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you saw it. I think she kind of wants to spend a fair amount of time talking to our listeners and viewers about July 4th activities so people can get outside and get some much needed fresh air.
All right, let me see.
Advice from Dr. Khan.
Let me see if my magic printer is working. All right. And if not, we'll figure it out another way.
Now, she should be popping up here shortly into our little stream conversation.
Okay, 4th of July. Are you staying on and talking to her?
No.
No, I am not.
You're on your own. Clay and Patrick have stayed with us the entire
I know. It's
conversation
Patrick's birthday's coming up in August. You're gonna have to send him out. You're gonna have to send him some WJR swag.
Patrick is going up north, I think. Paul's going to that stone skipping contest.
Oh yeah.
I think later in the week.
Paul's working tomorrow though, right?
Yes, he's doing the Rocket Mortgage.
Oh, okay.
So
do you know who I'm working with yet? Is it just me tomorrow? I'm on my own tomorrow.
you're on your own for Mitch's show, yes. Oh, here's Amy. You and Laura are working together. And they have already booked some guests.
Okay.
But we're kind of in search of anything we can do. We need more players.
Oh,
You know how it's always hard to get the players?
Yeah.
I know they're busy and they're practicing, and certainly we're not the first priority, but so we're trying to get some more players. So stay tuned here.
All right, I'll make a call. I saw Bubba was over at Oakland Hills.
I know.
And my nephew got a photo with them. We just need somebody in the know who can hook us up.
Yep, that's a good idea. All right, I see Amy. I'm gonna bring Amy in.
Great.
Hello, Amy.
Good morning. How are you?
Amy is
Great.
out
It
and
looks like
about.
you're out in the park.
I am. I'm at Kensington this morning.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
How cool is that?
We did a group. We got 5 friends who live in different parts of the state, and we all drove to Kensington one day for social distancing, catching up, and it was just beautiful. That park is amazing.
It is. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, we've got nearly 5,000 acres here, so it's a good place to social distance with your friends.
Yes.
So, Amy, am I right? Do I have the right title? Director of the Huron Clinton Metro Parks?
You're exactly right.
Okay, cool. All right, great. Have a great interview, you guys. I'm going backstage.
All right.
A cell phone video showed some people surrounding a police car, and at least 2 people were jumping on the front of the vehicle.
And it wasn't until that same police car, someone broke out the rear window. We're not certain in our investigation if it was a skateboard, although there's reports of a skateboard being used, but it took out the entire back window.
The 2 protesters were sent to the ground when the officer driving the car accelerated. The protesters who were jumping onto the police car and blocking it say they think the mayor should resign and the police chief should be fired. A Minnesota judge says that he probably will move the trials of 4 former police officers charged in George Floyd's death out of Minneapolis if the publicity continues to circuit in that area. Public officials and attorneys have been speaking out about the case. Floyd family attorney Benjamin Crump was asked about that issue.
If you're not transparent and we don't have accountability, we continue to have mistrust. We continue to have these protests, and the cities continue to have riots, not because of what we're doing, but because police brutality is going unaccounted for. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, Black people are losing our lives, and everybody else is trying to play technicalities.
The president of the UAW will meet today with U.S. Attorney Matthew Schneider. The union takes steps to prevent further corruption. A number of former union officials have been convicted of financial crimes in a long-running federal investigation. Europe says they don't want Americans to visit Europe. The European Union says people from 15 countries can travel to parts of the EU bloc, but they don't want the U.S. in there because of a surge in coronavirus cases. The Dream Cruise may be canceled, but the People's Cruise goes on. What if huge crowds and cruisers come out on August 15th for cruise activities? Sheriff Bouchard says it could happen.
People can get out and drive in their cars, and people can come out and sit in a lawn chair. So, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think officially it's canceled, but I think you're going to have a ton of people showing up if it's good weather. And so, I sent a memo to our folks. I said, we need to plan personnel, and we need to plan the ability to keep things safe like we would on a normal cruise.
Sheriff Bouchard was on with Kevin Dietz. The World Market Update sponsored by Mother Waddles. Donate your card to Mother Waddles and help the poorest of the poor. Call 313 Waddles. Most overseas markets are up, but the Dow Jones futures now are down 97 points. For WJR News, I'm Dick Hafner. More with Kevin Dietz in 2 minutes.
At Henry Ford Health System, we've always been all for you. But what does that mean as we begin offering more services and lead our community through a pandemic? It means we're all for revitalizing Michigan through the health of its people, all for preventing illness as aggressively as we treat it. And especially now, it means being all for cleaning up, wiping off, scrubbing down, and repeating. Because we're all for getting back to the innovative care we're known for, and all for heart attacks stopped, cancer eradicated, and new life delivered. In uncertain times, know this: Henry Ford Health System is all for your family, our community, and the health of this great state, because we're all for opening our doors, hearts, and minds for you. Henry Ford Health System, all for you. See everything we're doing to maintain a safe, clean environment at henryford.com/all-for-safety.
For over 100 years, Apsopure has remained committed to serving Michigan. And now as we return to work in a changed environment, Apsopure is ready to serve you, providing offices with top-notch refreshment and top-notch service. Apsopure offers a variety of bottled waters for office delivery, including natural spring, steam distilled, and vapor distilled with electrolytes. And each variety comes in an assortment of sizes ranging from individual bottles to 5-gallon jugs. And refreshment doesn't stop at water. Apsopure is your go-to provider for a delicious assortment of coffee and accessories to power your workday. By the pot or by the cup, they have the brand you love with the service you expect. Let Apsopure make staying hydrated and fueled the easiest part of getting back to business. Visit apsopure.com/WJR or call 800-4 Apsopure to sign up for safe, convenient, zero-contact delivery service. Apsopure.com/WJR or 800-4-APSOPURE.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Welcome back. It's Monday, June 30th, the final day of June in 2020. And that means the 4th of July weekend is right around the corner. The weather is going to be as beautiful then as it is now. And joining us now to talk about 4th of July festivities is Amy McMillan, the director of the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. And you're out at the parks right now, I understand, Amy. Are you there, Amy? Oh, no, Amy's phone looks like it has frozen up. We'll see if we can reconnect with Amy. Or maybe I'm looking at a picture of Amy on Facebook, and she's at the park, and she may have found a dead spot with her cell phone. There she is.
Yep.
Hey, Amy.
Bye.
Hey, Amy, can you hear us?
Hey, how are you this morning?
All right, we got you. I can see you on Facebook, and I can hear you on WJR. Welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show. So the 4th of July is coming. The weather is going to be beautiful. A lot of people are kind of bummed about all this social distancing and mask business and COVID-19. But you're here to tell us that we can still celebrate and enjoy the parks.
You know, one of the best ones has their physical health or their mental health to be outdoors, to connect to nature. And there's no better place to do that than the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. We have been so grateful to be open all during the pandemic. I'm here at Kensington this morning. You can probably hear the birds singing a little bit. There are folks fishing on the lake in the background and on the dock. There are already people parked riding their bikes and walking and pushing strollers, and soon they'll be heading out to the beach. We have 13 Metro Parks all over Eastern Michigan, and there's all to do outdoors.
Yeah, so it's it's hard to know what's open and what's closed. I know the parks have public pools, wave pools, things like that. Those are closed, I imagine. But there's lakes where you can go out fishing, I imagine, and there's of course golf courses and disc golf courses. So what are some of the things that people are going to be able to enjoy and do over the 4th of July? Are you there, Amy?
Actually, 2 of our pools are open. Our pool at Willow. Yes, are you here?
I just can't hear you. Maybe.
Our pool at Willow.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's just such a tough. It's just such a tough connection. I'm trying for you. Amy.
Let me try.
Okay. Anyway, so
Our pool at Willow.
Amy's trying so hard. I wanted to be able to help. Amy, I don't think we can hear you. You can hear me, right? But we can't hear you. Yeah. All right. Well, most of the parks are open. So what they're suggesting that you do is you come out and use the parks, and they are saying that things may change day to day depending on if there's overcrowding or there's a lot of people. They're gonna keep track of the number of people who come to the different parks, but many things are going to be open. The Maple and Martindale beaches in Kensington Metro Park, Eastwood and Bay Point beaches at Stony Creek Metro Park, the beach at Lake St. Clair. Splash pads are now open at Kensington, Indian Springs, and the Lake St. Clair Metro Parks, and the pool at Willow Metro Park too. So that wave pool at Lake Erie Metro Park is closed. That's a no-go for the 4th, but there are a lot of things you can do for animal lovers. The farm centers at Kensington and Wolcott Mill Metro Parks are now open. they're going to see one-way traffic in certain areas, and they have to reduce those capacities again inside the barn. So you may have to wait a minute and take turns to go in and pet the animals, but kids love to do that, and they're going to be able to do that this 4th of July. Dick, you are a big fan of the Metro Parks. It's good to see that we can get there in some capacity.
I love the Metro Parks. There's plenty of public access to the lakes on parks that have water, like Lake St. Clair. Kensington is Kent Lake. You can go out fishing and enjoy the lakes. And Amy, I love the par 3 golf courses.
Yeah, I went to Kensington Park about a month ago and met some friends of mine who live on the west side of the state. Billy Atwood and Nate Vincent and Tom Schmidt and I all went to Metro Kensington, and we social distanced, and we walked, and we had a picnic out there, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And there's so many miles of park that it is a great place to go and spread out, and you can social distance there quite easily.
And you know, Kevin, the Metro Parks are one of our area's jewels. They are so well run, and I think people don't give the Metro Parks credit for being such an efficient and great idea that we have in our area. You know, the national parks have been called America's best idea. I think the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, which date back many decades in our region, are one of the best ideas that we ever had around here.
Yeah, every time I go out there, I'm just amazed at how much there is to do and how beautiful it is. It's such a treasure. And you know, this 4th of July, while a lot of restaurants are going to be crowded, and with the social distancing, a place to go out and be outside and really get with nature. Hiking, you can hike. It's just, there's so many different things you can do, and it's going to be open. 90% of what they do out there is going to be open,
and we need them now more than ever.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Amy, I'm sorry that our connection wasn't so good. Maybe we can get you back on before the holiday to update everybody on what they need to do. But the message is clear. There's a lot to do at the Metro Parks, and the Metro Parks are open, and happy to have you come out this 4th of July weekend. So thanks for being with us. All right. Let's check traffic and weather with Dayna Clark.
Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Pretty tranquil here. You can leave the umbrellas home. Looks like we're not going to see much rainfall. None mentioned over the next few days. Certainly it could change, but let's go with it. Clouds mixed with some clear sky this morning and partial clouds this afternoon. Got a pair 8s, 88 degrees. Tonight, 66 and clear. Sunshine tomorrow. Looky there, another pair, 88. Sunshine on Thursday, 91. Then Friday, Saturday's the 4th. Low 90s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
Helping those who need it most while building a better future. That's what Michiganders do. And it's what DTE is doing today. Giving 2 million masks to frontline workers and 600,000 to small businesses. Providing tablets and internet access so 51,000 school children can learn at home. And helping over 500,000 families across the state with food and shelter. Because for Michigan, we're always all in. DTE. DTE is taking big steps today that will power Michigan's economy for years to come. As one of the largest investors in the state, we'll spend $2 billion with Michigan companies this year alone, building critical infrastructure to provide cleaner, safer, and more reliable energy, while creating thousands of new jobs across the state, improving the lives of Michiganders today, while continuing to build a stronger tomorrow. DTE.
At Super Slow Zone, staying strong and healthy is more important than ever. Their private exercise studio can be your answer. No gym, no classes. 15 years experience with proven results. For your appointment, call 248-880-4576.
Want to stay cool and save money this summer? Just visit DTE's website for tips. For instance, a ceiling fan can help you save.
Ceiling fans? I'm a big fan.
Turn on a ceiling fan and turn up your thermostat. Just 2 degrees higher can cut almost 14% in air conditioning costs.
I'm a fan of saving money, so I'm a fan of fans.
You too will be a ceiling fan. Get more tips at dteenergy.com/saveenergy. DTE.
Thinking about life insurance? Did you know in just a few minutes you can find the best price from up to 10 price competitive companies for free? You can with SelectQuote. For example, George is 39. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $22 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-890-6688. That's 800-890-6688. 800-890-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This is Ed Harrell, founder of the Kindness Revolution. This is a stressful time for a lot of us. The political environment, work stress. So beginning now, when we feel overwhelmed by life circumstances, let's take a moment and add some calmness to our lives. Research shows that most of what we worry about never comes to fruition. So let's take some time to be calm and to be kind. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Protesters in Detroit are calling for Mayor Mike Duggan to resign and Chief of Police James Craig to be fired for police being overly aggressive with protesters, including an officer accelerating his patrol car in a crowd after protesters climbed on top of that squad car. But there's more to the story, especially when you put yourself in the shoes of police officers. Joining us on the line now is Chief James Craig. Chief, thanks for being here. We've talked several times during the pandemic and the protests. We have been very proud of the job that Detroit citizens have been doing and Detroit police have been doing to allow peaceful protests as much as possible. What are you learning as you investigate this particular incident?
Well, as I reported out, Kevin, yesterday we weren't even 24 hours into an investigation. We quickly turned it around in terms of reporting out to our community because the narrative being put out there that basically police officers plowed through a group of peaceful protesters, and that just simply was a false narrative. Factually, when you look at the videos, it depicts a group of angry protesters, and not all of them. And I put emphasis on that because certainly I don't want to paint a broad picture, because by and large, protesters, especially over the last 4 to 5 weeks, have been extremely peaceful. Occasionally, there have been some agitators embedded, and certainly on Sunday, it was no different. There was agitation that escalated up to anger and then violence. And the violence certainly was seen in the video. They make the claim that they were trying to protect other protesters by jumping on the hood of the car. Not true. It's clear when you look at the video, they had surrounded the police car. They were hitting the police car with objects. In one case, the rear window was smashed out, and there were some efforts by some to gain entry into the car where the officers were seated. So when you put all that together, and trying to put my place in the officer's mind, their safety was in danger. I mean, it was clear. And I think any reasonable person would have recognized that. And so they methodically tried to dislodge the protesters from the car at a very slow speed, hitting their brakes as what was depicted in the video. And then
once the rear window was smashed, the officer said, I didn't know what happened. I thought we were being shot at. So we're trained, if we're being fired upon, we got to get out of the line of fire. And so that's a concern, while keeping in mind trying not to injure anyone. So to make statements that, the protesters were peaceful and that it was a false claim on my part that, some were armed with hammers, that was information that was put out over our communications channel that was monitoring the protests, which did start out peaceful. But as I indicated, one of the commanders who tried to meet with the organizers was met with a barrage of profanity, insults. So clearly there was no room to facilitate a peaceful protest. And that happened. We saw it the first couple of nights.
Yeah, the officers have to operate in real time, and in real time, there was no excuse for people climbing on top of a squad car. In real time, there's no excuse for pelting the car with objects. In real time, there's no excuse for busting the back window of that squad car. And whether you think it's bullets or hammer or a skateboard or whatever it is, there's no excuse for it. And an officer has to protect themselves so that they can protect the other citizens of what may be happening. And when you look at the video, it's unfortunate that happened, but there's a reason it happened, and it happened for those reasons, because people climbed on that car and smashed the window and threw objects at the car. My concern is, why does it seem like protesters are turning on you? You guys have had a great relationship. You've been out with protesters. You've been a leader in trying to keep the protests as peaceful as possible. What do you think is causing this change right now?
Well, first of all, Kevin, just let me emphasize that the vast majority who go to protest are peaceful. It's always and has been a small group of agitators who want violence. And I read a statement by a person that was in that protest on Sunday who left the protest. She was concerned, and she heard the conversations. There was a clear effort to try to provoke and taunt the police officers. She knew it. And then she also observed the fact that these same individuals were the ones striking the police car. And so that's not peaceful. And anybody watching it can see it's not peaceful. So they can put out whatever narrative. I mean, even early on when we were having the violence in the early days, and I showed during a news conference, railroad spikes. In one instance, someone threw a M80 or fireworks at or inside the vehicle of a police vehicle. And they said they're unaware. I mean, the lead organizer constantly says, we're unaware. How are you unaware when we saw what happened on Sunday? These things are happening. And so I just let the silent majority see it, judge it for themselves, and they know that what's going on is wrong. And I mean, people are bringing their children out for the historic marches. They want to be part of the message, but they can't have their children, and law-abiding citizens can't be involved with, this kind of activity.
But Chief, I'm glad that your officers are safe. I think these calls for the mayor resigning and you being fired is a nothing story that's going nowhere. I thank you for always coming on the show and holding press conferences for the media to share with the citizens of the community what you know in real time. I think that's part of the reason that we've had the success we've had so far. So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Have a great day. It was a great show again. Enjoyed sitting in for Paul W. Smith. Frank Beckman is on deck. But before that, we're going to check in with Dayna Clark and traffic.
This report is brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit pcadevzone.org.
Accident once again in Lincoln Park, 75 northbound at Ford Street. A collision is blocking the left shoulder of that exit ramp. Seeing delays 75 southbound at 14 Mile. A slow ride from Rochester Road. That right lane is closed until 3 p.m. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the law firm of Victoria. The law firm of Victoria, divorce and family law firm, has moved its operations to a remote work environment. They are committed to providing the same excellent standard of service to their clients. Security, protection, a brighter tomorrow. 248-723-1600. VictoriaLawFirm.com. Good health to all. Sunshine, 71 degrees, going up to 88 today. No rain, lots of heat to consume. Make sure you have the sunglasses ready. They will get lots of action over the next several days. Tonight, clear skies, low 66. A redo on Wednesday, sunshine, a high of 88. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 3 minutes.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
A lot of parents tell me they've tossed their rules about screen time out the window.
Thank you, Kevin. That was
You are
great.
welcome. Yeah, that was a great show. Nice job getting everybody on. That moved quick, and I don't think we overly lectured people on wearing masks.
No, we kept the mask lecture way down.
It was not much of a COVID show. This was a Law and Order.
Yes, no, that's a good point. So our listeners, viewers should know that tomorrow you are in for Mitch Album, and you'll be doing a lot on the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
Yes.
And Paul and Mr. Steve Courtney, will be in the morning, and we will be doing this. And then you're going to do this tomorrow afternoon, right?
Yes, tomorrow afternoon I'm doing this with Mitch, right? And then I'm back here Thursday morning, right?
Yes, because we're trying to screw up your sleep schedule big time this week. Let's see if we can get you to fill in maybe overnight, then get up the next morning. So yes, we will see you tomorrow.
Awesome. I'll check in with Laura and we'll get that figured out. And thanks for your help. And we'll see you.
All right. Have a great day. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.